So, greetings and welcome, viewers, to the first ever Glitterglen Games actual play recording. The first of what I hope will be many. I am Matt, and for this campaign I will be the GM. Today we are going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in a setting called the Fever Swamp, which was written by Luke Gearing. I'll include a link to the store page where you can acquire a copy of the setting book if you are so inclined in the description of this video. So today we are going to be doing the session 0 of our new campaign. I'm going to be speaking with the players about the setting and about the assumptions for this campaign, and we are going to make characters. This video is not going to begin the game proper, so if you want to see that, you can and not skip the character creation stuff, you can skip this episode and go to session 1, which will be posted after we do it. But hopefully, if you stick around, this is going to be, you'll get some interesting insight into our player characters, and it should be interesting one way or the other. So I am joined today by the following players. If you will please, one at a time, each of you introduce yourselves and tell us what you have experienced of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons.
Hey,
Okay,
oh, you go ahead.
I'm Creator. I have read the introduction of the player manual for 5th edition. Pretty much all of my experiences with either 3.5 or 4th.
Okay.
I am Retromech. I've played a fair amount of 5th edition. I've run a fair amount of 5th edition. I'm a big fan, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
I'm Slack. I got started on 3.5. I have also played about one game each of 4th and 5th edition.
Saul, you're next in line, but you didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what order we're following.
Okay, so I'm Convalescence. I ran, I guess, a year-long 5th edition campaign, play-by-post on a forum for KSB and some of the other people here. I've played, besides that, mostly 4th edition, but I guess I have a fair amount of experience with 5th then. Yeah, so Sala then, since you're left, and then Calvin.
Okay. I'm Saul Bosma. I played in 1.5 games that King Strongbeard ran in person, and then let's see, I played a good bit of 3.5 and Pathfinder, which I can still consider to be the same thing before that, so I'm fairly familiar with this game.
That's how you get views of the controversy.
I live to start fights.
Well, nothing best than to do it in game, right? I'm Nivlak, or some refer to me as Calvin. My experience with D&D 5th edition has been about 1.5 games, one being a lengthy campaign ran by our current GM.
Yes, about a year-long campaign. After the first attempt ended with everyone being killed by goblin assassins. Good times.
I was there.
Yes. Yes, they were both in that game.
Sounds like good times.
Yes. Anyway, so yes, we are using, of course, the 5th edition rules, but as all of our players already know, for this particular game we are making a few changes to core. I'll probably include like a copy of the campaign rules that we'll be using in the description of this video, if anyone gives a damn. First off, I'll just talk about the setting for a moment. So, Fever Swamp is the setting for our game. This campaign is going to involve a lot of hex crawling. As you can see in the Roll20, we have a hex map which encompasses the entire Fever Swamp. Right now, there's only one thing labeled for all of you, and that's the village of Clink, there in the northeast, which is where
Northeast kind of corner.
which is where we will begin our game. The campaign is going to involve a lot of traveling the swamp, which will be a slow process. It will take on average, at a normal pace, you will move about one of these hexes a day. And as the swamp is named the Fever Swamp, you can expect a lot of disease and sickness to be a common theme. Also, I'm just going to let everyone know there's a fair amount of undead in the swamp. So when we're getting to making our party, keep that in mind in terms of party balance. Survival and undead and sickness are all going to be major components. In the way of sort of making survival a bigger deal, I have made a few nerfs to certain abilities and rules, which you have all seen in the swamp, the Fever Swamp campaign rules document. Namely, this is a slight nerf to the Ranger's Natural Explorer ability, and the background Outlander.
Outlander, I think.
Yeah, the background Outlander no longer allows you to forage for free and get automatic success at finding food. It instead
For the entire party, I think it was by default.
it's for like 6 people or something, so effectively the entire party.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You have to nerf some things if you're focusing on some things in campaigns, because some features are intended to allow you to easily gloss over wilderness travel and things.
Right.
And if that's going to be your focus, you got to do something about them. If I recall, you also did something about Goodberry.
Yes, so Goodberry, now you can still totally cast it, but it consumes the material component, which means since it's a consumable material component, you can't replace it with like an arcane focus or something. So you need the Sprig of Mistletoe, and if it is, and when it is cast, it's gone. So you need to get more mistletoe. So you can't merely feed the entire party on good berries. I consider
Though
not.
I half expect one day we'll wander into town and demand every villager give us a shrubbery, but
Yes, of course. I considered not nerfing Goodberry because it is a first level spell. It's not a cantrip, and the fact that it's a first level spell does make it a pretty limited resource. In that, I am also changing how rests work. When you camp each night of travel in the Fever Swamp, camping will only count as a short rest, not a long rest. Which means wizards and clerics don't get their spells back from camping in the swamp, as they only regain those abilities on a long rest. So if you think that maybe gives an edge to warlocks over wizards, at least in terms of blasting, that is something to consider.
Warlocks only.
And again, not just spells, any class feature, that requires a long rest will be not usable in every encounter in the swamp, in other words. Finally, long rests need to be taken. Basically, my idea is that in order for you to get the benefits of a long rest, you need your adventurer needs a day off, basically. So you have to find some place of relative safety. The only place you currently know of for that is the village of Clink, although it is entirely possible that you will find other safe places in the swamp by, making friends. Who knows? And if you take a day off in a place of relative safety, then you can gain the benefits of a long rest and get those hit dice back, get your spells back, and so on. So yeah. And of course, what I know, at least Retromach is chomping at the bit to get to, stat generation. We are not using point buy. We are not using 46 keep 3 range to taste or any of the standards. We're doing something different. What we are going to do is we're going to roll 46, dropping the low die. Right down the line, starting with your strength, dex, con, all the way down to charisma, and in the standard order. But I am giving everyone a little bit of a mercy in that after you've chosen your after you've rolled your stats, we've chosen your race. When we choose your class, you will have the option to replace one of the core stats of that class with a 16 if it's better than what you rolled. So, for example, if you roll a 3 in intelligence, but you really want to play a wizard, choose wizard as your class, and you get a 16 intelligence. You really want to play barbarian, but you roll a 6 strength, you can still do it. You choose barbarian, 16 strength. And of course, in the document, I have the options for what you get with each class is listed right there for you. So, Slag, it looks like you already rolled your sets in the chat, which you did before I told you to.
He was punished for his hubris.
Yes, and you rolled a 5 Constitution, which you are now stuck with. This is your divine punishment for rolling before the game began.
It won't be a punishment for long, I guess.
Well, probably not.
I mean, all the rest of my rolls are really good, so I don't care.
We should do our best to keep this character alive as long as possible.
Yes. Hopefully the miasma will be merciful to him, but we'll see. Yeah. So I guess we'll just. I have given everyone character sheets, I believe. You should be, if you go on the Roll20 and you go to your journal, you should see a character sheet which currently has your username on them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. Can everyone find that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Slag, you can go ahead and input your stats there on your sheet if you like. And who wants to roll next?
Well, I guess I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Retro. I know you're excited for this. Ooh.
Wow.
Also
Damn.
good stats except for Constitution.
Wow.
None
This
of
is
us
a
are going
bad
to have
sign.
good constitution.
A group of sickly weirdos wandering around to die. It's all they've wanted.
All right. So go ahead and you can record those stats onto your character sheet, Retro. Gone. You're the next person in line. Roll your stats.
All right. Just 1 second. Char 46K3. I don't think there's a way to do it all at once. So 2, 3,
Oh no.
4,
Good constitution.
5, 6.
It figures that con would get the good con.
14, 16, 14, 11, 13, 11. That was pretty good spread there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking too before the next person goes in terms of like acknowledgements and things to put in the description. Maybe the Questing Beast review of Fever Swamp, because I remember that's where I first saw it and sent that to you.
Oh yeah, that's correct. That's a good idea. It was mostly their review of the book that made me buy it, which is why this campaign is happening. So
Yep.
I guess it's only fair that I link their review. Yes. So okay, Sala, you're next in line. If you will take a break from your odd drawing of a goblin,
Maybe.
you need to roll more than 1d6.
Yes, I need to remember how to use this.
It's just going to be /R 4d6k3. Okay, 13 strength. 13 dex.
13!
If you go 13 all down the line, then you can be the base human and get all 14s. 14 constitution. At least you're not a sickly weirdo. 8
Intelligence.
Not a wizard then.
Well,
Unless he
you
is.
want to be.
14 wisdom. And a 12 charisma.
To be honest, he probably should be.
It would not be a bad choice. Okay. Creador.
Yo. Let's get this done, I guess.
Yep. Let's roll your stats. See what you got.
D6K3.
14 strength. 12 dex. 16 constitution. 13 intelligence. 12 wisdom. 11 charisma.
Okay.
Pretty
Guess I'm a
good.
tank.
And lastly, Calvin, we need your stats.
Let's see what we got.
8 strength. 12 dex. 16 constitution. 9 intelligence. 15 wisdom. 11 charisma. Okay. So that's everyone's stats. So you can go ahead and fill those in on your character sheets, if you haven't already. So these character sheets, as I see, some of you have found out from rolling things. They will roll things for you if you click certain buttons. I'm not overly familiar with how all of their options work, but yeah, at least it will calculate some stuff for you, so that's very nice. So okay, so now on to races. Not everything in the core book is available. Our options are as follows: human, and I'm going to let you pick between the normal human and the variant human that gets a feat instead.
Then no one will not do variant human.
Yeah, I mean probably.
Know how this goes, at least.
Yes, but okay. I guess I should say variant humans are an option, but if you really want to, the normal human is an option as well. Dwarves, elves, halflings. If you want to play an orc, you can, using the half orc from the basic book. Aasimar are available. Tiefling. Kobold, but I'm not using the Volo's Guide Kobold. At Telgan's request, we are using a different Kobold PC race that was fan made.
Yeah, like a
there's
homebrew one.
homebrew one. There's a link to that in the campaign rules. And I don't like gnomes, but you can play a goblin and use gnome stats.
I know what Sala's doing then.
So if you want to roll stuff,
I'm
your
making a
character
gnome
sheet on roll
anyway.
20, just click the skill you want to roll. It'll roll it twice in case you have advantage or disadvantage, but I guess take the first one.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's how I've always seen people do it, at least.
We might also want to consider what our class options are going to be before we pick our races, because that will matter.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if it's intentional that we don't discuss that until after we've picked our races. But I always consider a race class to be a singular choice indeed. You usually have to balance the two together to make a single concept.
You don't get to pick your race in nature. That's not how the universe works.
Yes.
Well, it's not too late to roll for race, I guess. But
I was gonna joke, but I always consider race and class to be a singular concept, but KSB doesn't like those games, I know.
Anyway, I was going to say that the only reason I was kind of pushing picking the race first was that my intention with the 16 from your class does not benefit from the racial choice. So if you choose Barbarian and switch out your strength, you have a 16 strength. You don't have 16 plus your +2 from being an orc or whatever for an 18.
Okay, that's understandable.
But yes. If otherwise, yes, you should consider what you're trying to play when you're playing, I suppose. Unless you want to be playing.
If you want to.
But yeah.
so looking at these stats, my most alarming concern is that I have a 6 Constitution. For those of you who aren't aware of this, I'm running an Adventures in Middle-earth D&D 5 campaign in another place right now. And during my last adventure, a PC with 6 Constitution died to a single hit from a wolf. And so I'm looking
It
at
was
that.
a critical hit.
It was a critical hit, but and it didn't help that they then proceeded to botch their first death save. But the point is, I'm still looking at this like, maybe I should be a dwarf. Or I could go for my fallback option, which was a green dragon-blooded sorcerer to get that poison resistance that I think might prevent me from dying too quickly. That aside, a 17 in intelligence begs to be playing a wizard, especially if I took something that would bump it up to an 18 or a 19. That would be really good, although a wizard with 6 constitution isn't going to make it very long. And I'm pretty much sure that I will lose my spell book within the first 3 minutes of the adventure if I play a wizard.
Yep, I mean, there's water
Hopefully
everywhere.
your spellbook is waterproof. Yeah.
I don't know if that item has been published in 5th edition, but I certainly couldn't afford it at first level. So
Right.
Oh, we do all have to roll for coins at the beginning, too.
Oh,
I guess
yes.
that's a later
And then-
step, but
And then
Yeah.
decide what kind of boat we're going to buy.
I'm definitely feeling like 2 canoes, maybe 3 canoes. Because if we have 3
Luxury
canoes
yacht.
between the 7 of us, then we have a couple of empty seats in case we lose a canoe. It's not so bad, especially if we lose someone with the canoe we might be able to boat on.
I was going to say, I assume we'll lose like people before we lose canoes.
Why not both?
Let's just get one canoe.
One canoe can't hold your 6 or 7 party members if
Playing the odds.
Telgan joins us later.
The extras can just hang off the side.
Sorry, Telgan, there's no room. You can't join the game.
no, I want him to play.
So, yeah. So you have your stats now. So what kind of characters are we thinking about? I mean, Retro said what he had in mind. What's everyone else thinking?
Well, I remember telling you a while ago when we were first talking about I felt like playing Varian this time because I never had before, I guess, and it's pretty different from the usual sort of characters I
Mhm.
play because I usually have to fight the urge to play a healer in any sort of game. So yeah, that actually worked out pretty well with 14 strength. What did I get again? 16 dex and then 14 con. All pretty good, physical stats there.
Mhm.
And the 16 strength would boost it up 1 in the modifier, so that would be a nice choice.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so I probably just wanted to anyway.
because you have that 16 dexterity, so the high dex mod will go good with like a lightly armored barbarian.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What's everyone else thinking?
You raise a good point to jump in before anyone else has a chance to forget what they were doing. A ranger might not be the worst idea with this either. The extra hit points would be pretty useful, and a 15 dex is probably adequate, especially if I take something that bumps it to a 17 with my ranger bonus to get strength.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I don't know, I can't remember if you talked to everyone about it, but I do think Telgen is going to actually play, even if he doesn't make it tonight. And his idea was he wanted to be a paladin, if I recall correctly. That was the thing he was like pretty set on. I guess unless his stats go terribly wrong for doing that,
Which
he's probably going to.
Which it very well might.
Yeah,
Paladin
there's the
kind of
risk of that.
are kind of multi-stat dependent. I mean, but yeah.
I could honestly see him doing it no matter what the stats were.
That
But
also does sound like something Telgen would do. Yes.
I have to fill that niche.
Mhm.
With curing the diseases from lay on hands is going to be a super important thing to do.
Mhm. Yeah. So having a paladin in the party will be very useful for you. So when someone gets the wasting sickness, he can make it go away. At the cost of one of his lay of hands, which is only recharged with a long rest, so
Mm-hmm.
limited but useful. Yeah.
We all have to know what every other person is playing before we'll guess what we're playing,
Okay.
so that we don't step on any toes.
Honestly, with a party this size, it's really only important that at least one of us can cast healing magic. And even then, it's like kind of important. It's 5th edition.
Yeah, with I suppose you'll probably want to have magic wing out around way down here without miles from days from a resting place. But that's just me.
Yes and no, right? Because you do get your hit dice as well. So you have some native healing without a caster.
Right. Yeah, some. And then it runs out. And of course, healers run out of spells too. But I'm saying every bit that you have available. Anyway, so Calvin, what are you thinking?
Well, with the wonderful rolls that I had there,
Mm-hmm.
the bulk of what I've got is wisdom and dex, so it kind of pushes towards the ranger.
Mm. A ranger would also be very useful with this for like the exploration of the swamp party. So yeah, and that's not a bad choice.
But always do the buy-in and getting that 16 plus 3 and turn around and go straight for another barbarian.
That could be good as well.
And, with a 9 intelligence, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We should write these down somewhere so we can all remember them. I'm gonna put mine in the Discord chat here.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's what I was doing now. Or right now I was looking at the feats to figure out what I might want from Variant Human.
Hmm.
I don't actually even remember what the default humans give you, because
They give you plus
like I
one to
joked-
every stat.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, like I joked before, pretty much every time I've ever seen Variant Human be offered as an option, that's just what everyone does. So
I mean, maybe if you rolled like all odd numbers, then
yeah,
you know,
in that
then-
funny edge case, I would do it.
As per the joke that KSB made.
Durable might be cool.
I mean, yes and no. Some builds also aren't very feat intensive. You might decide that you don't really need one as much as you want those stat ups. I've
Mhm.
seen people do it. It is very occasionally the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's nice to have as an option at least in those cases. Let me see.
Okay, I think Creator probably has stepped away to deal with his birds.
No, I've asked my girlfriend if she can do it.
Oh, okay. I saw you were muted, so I wasn't sure.
I just have the AC on.
Okay.
It's Texas and all. So.
Yeah. All right. So Creator, I know you haven't played 5th edition, but you've played D&D before.
Yeah, and I mean the classes are all just the basic tropes and archetypes. It's
Yep.
nothing shocking.
So with the rolls you made, what kind of character are you thinking about?
I mean, I know that I could go with a fighter or barbarian or something like that, but I feel like with the low dexterity I've got, that would be not the necessarily best call.
Mm-hmm.
So I was leaning more towards sort of just a bulky support.
Okay.
You know, unless we just end up with no one on the front lines, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could, of course. I mean, you've got that 16 Constitution, so any, that's good for any class wants that. You could go like cleric. Take the free 16 in your wisdom, and then with your above average physical stats and a good wisdom, you'd be like you could maybe be like a pretty hardy battle cleric.
Right. So what I was sort of thinking was either, cleric, of course, is sort of a default option because, like you said, that would be great and it would be super useful.
Mm-hmm.
Or a
or similarly, you could go. You could drop. You could do bard. To get
bard would be really good in this format.
Get this 16 charisma, and then you have like some pretty good physical stats. Just helping out your survival.
I've never done a bard at all.
But what will make it very useful for us, assuming we survive to 2nd level, is Song of Rest. Anytime you spend hit dice on a short rest, anyone in the party gains an extra d6. So it sort of is a huge buff to our native healing. But so much so that if no one else plays a bard, I might. But we should definitely have a bard.
Right. So so I guess given that I've not played a bard before and I haven't touched D&D 5, what I realize, they're buffers, of course, but sort of, is there anything else in particular?
Well, they are of course spellcasters. Do you have a copy of? Do you have access to the player's handbook?
Yeah, I've got it open. I'm looking at the bard. I just, it's hard to read and.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. They're pretty much the bard as you would know them from like third edition, really.
Okay. Pretty much
They do
haven't really
like
changed much.
they're kind of like half casters. No, I guess they're like full casters in this one. But you've got spellcasting. Bardic inspiration is like just a kind of a generic way of you giving everyone like help with their skill checks or attack rolls. If you want to see like how useful that can be, go check out the on the forum the Skaldmar campaign, because I turned a bunch of misses into hits basically.
Bards are really
Yeah.
good in 5.
Yeah.
They do a lot of great things. I mean,
At
everyone
second-
has the same proficiency bonus, so anyone's good at attacking. They've got the stat for it in D&D 5, which is really fun.
Mhm.
Their hit points aren't unacceptable at a D8. You're not going to be hurting too badly on that. Your spells are pretty good. You have most of the best control wizard spells. You're missing a few really great items, but only a few. Your song buffs are really good. The rest buff is really good.
So it sounds kind of like just a jack of all trades.
Actually, at second
With-
level, you get an ability called Jack of all trades, which lets you add half your proficiency to skills you don't have.
Funny you should say that.
Well, how about that? You know what? That sounds cool. I think I'll do that, unless someone else just really, really wants to.
Yeah, no, I think you should be a bard. I think that'll be great.
Yeah, I'll put myself down for that for now.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I don't think I've ever GM'd with a bard in the party.
But try to be like a melee bard, because only like half of us have constitutions.
I'll be a tanky bard.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Consider
guess I
it
should
dwarf.
be. Yeah, I should be something that can hurt people. I've got a constitution.
I'll beat people with my loot. It's a reinforced loot. Okay. Anyways, now to look at races, since that's what we were actually talking about at first.
Uh,
I don't think a loot would do well in the swamp. The wood would warp.
Well, no, it's reinforced. It's metal.
Oh, okay.
It's a war loot.
so when people get up on stage, you can bash them in the head. It's in the
Yeah.
back. Orcish bard,
It cuts his fingers.
multiclass
whenever he throws it.
barbarian.
I mean, maybe. I'll look through that. I'll look through that stuff while people decide on other things.
So Sala, let's talk about you.
Oh no!
Are you not ready for me to talk about you?
I'm just flipping back and forth between the pages of the book, trying to come up with an option that I actually want to pick, other than the ones I want to pick. You know.
Okay. Well, maybe you want to tell us what you want to pick, so we can come up with alternatives.
I don't know that either.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So even though I expressed resistance at first, I probably am going to be a dirty goblin. Maybe a dwarf, just to have even more constitution.
That couldn't hurt.
And as we talked about before the game, I might be a warlock with a Fey Pact, unless it turns out, like I got the impression before we started the recording, that everyone is going to be a warlock, in which case I would be something else.
Yeah. It seems like everyone is not being warlocks.
Though we could make that work. 2 divine warlocks, 2 hex blades, the rest of us regular warlocks. We'd have frontline, we'd have healing, it would happen.
Yeah. I have to be an anti-warlock that wants to hurt warlocks.
You can be the divine warlock.
I'm going to have this boat for myself. I'm going to take it back to town and get a boatload of good people.
I'm sure there's like a 3.5 splat book that's just the anti-warlock or the warlock hunter. Well, that probably exists for every class.
That does sound like 3.5.
That was the best part about 3.5. Also
Yeah,
the worst
the
part,
anti-
but
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Mongoose published it.
Yeah, I would have bought the anti-warlock book for $1 at McKay's,
mm-hmm.
and then left it in my bathroom and never read it.
But
I mean,
it would have
that's kind of
added
what
to the
happened with
pile
my,
of books, so you know.
Yeah, it mixed in with all the newspapers.
That's what my 5e DMG is doing. It just lives in my closet. I've never actually used it because the only 5th edition game I ever ran was online, and it's easier to use a PDF, which they don't sell, I don't think. So I just bought it to possess it, I guess.
That's the point of purchasing, right?
Actually,
yeah,
wait, no, I
that's-
looked at it once for this game to tell KSB about the wilderness like modifiers for traveling and stuff that I had in there, but I think that's the only time I've ever actually used it to look up a rule or anything, which is kind of ironic, but
So as I said, yeah, I may be a goblin warlock,
Okay, that's cool.
depending on what everyone else says.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got Khan is going to be a human barbarian. We've got a goblin warlock. We've got Creador is a question mark bard. And yeah. So we just need Retro to narrow it down a bit, and Calvin.
what about Slag?
Oh, did I forget about
Who?
Slag? I forgot about Slag.
He's been stealthy, but I remembered his
Maybe
presence.
is Slag playing the rogue? He slipped past my notes. I'm sorry, Slag.
I was actually thinking about being a monk, although I'm not entirely sure which race I'm going to choose. I might be an orc, actually.
You could be kobold buddies with Togen.
Ew.
Or an orcish monk.
Yes. He wrestles gators.
Crocodiles, actually, in this one.
They're
Has a
pretty
very
nasty.
strong accent.
Also, they'd have to be like baby crocodiles, because the ones in the swamp will, kill you dead if you tried that as a first level character.
After having conquered the weakest challenges of his homeland, he has come here for a serious challenge, not realizing that the world is heavily tiered and broken up into levels, and he hasn't even passed the first one.
Yes. I think Monk would be an interesting choice for you. You've got wisdom, and you can raise your dexterity with the monk class.
That's what I was planning.
Right. You then fall back on the fact that you have a 5 constitution, but that's going to kill you no matter what you're playing. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess if you're going to go out and wrestling crocs, you'll get to re-roll sooner. Yeah.
Damn, you've pierced his character concept.
Well,
I
you
mean,
might be able to make this monk thing work. Thinking about it, because there's gonna be a monk ranged weapon. I'm gonna figure. I'm just gonna look into this now in case I'm blowing smoke. But if there's a monk ranged weapon, all you have to do is throw shuriken really hard and stay out of melee, and you might survive until we meet someone who can make ranged attacks.
Mm-hmm. That could work, yeah.
Or until the giant mosquitoes make off with them.
Let's see. Proficient in simple
leave you
weapons.
behind,
Is
they just
flame
take your
cast a
blood.
simple weapon?
I mean, The main thing that is worth noting in my case is that the stupider my idea for a character, the better they do.
Well,
This
we'll
is
see.
like a fact.
Okay. Um.
Oh, you could get throwing daggers, yeah.
Mhm.
They're finesse weapons. Can be thrown. They're kind of simple, so monks would be proficient in them.
But yes, I'm going to play a orcish monk.
Cool.
I have decided. And I will be taking that dexterity.
Cool.
So there should still be 2 of us who haven't committed yet, because I'm looking at 6 players in this call, and 4 committed classes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely failing on that one. Yeah. I was
Alright.
debating on possibly fighter because of my stats,
Mhm.
but I have a tendency to lean towards playing more of a supportive role when there's a piece missing in a party.
I also have a tendency to fill in missing pieces. We can work together on this one. So it looks like our party right now, assuming the monk dies, which let's make that assumption, we'll have 1.5 frontliners and 1 ranged character, and no utility magic, and no healing, no real healing magic. Although the bard is going to be way better
Yeah,
than a
we
cleric
know.
in this situation. So one of us should probably play a frontline cleric or paladin or something, and one of us should probably play like a wizard or sorcerer or something. But either of us could get away with making a fresh frontliner or range because we're not really overloaded in that. The cleric is more optional because the bard will help us a lot with healing. Wizards are always optional because
You really just
D&D
need
5 is written
intelligence.
all that way.
Or a wizard, yeah.
So yeah, I figure assuming Telgan is going to come in as a paladin and will somehow make that work. We're pretty good for frontliners and healing, so you and I should be looking to split utility and a bit more ranged, maybe. Because we could have, at the moment, a frontliner in each canoe,
Mhm.
and and that's probably enough of that. So
Well,
what were
then,
your stats again?
Yeah, I was leaning. Well, if I lean towards the fighter and take the 16 for the strength, and since the fighter's got that the range bonus,
You would be a really good frontliner with that. There's
Yeah.
no question. You might also look at these stats and consider a ranger. If you were to be
yeah,
a strength-based ranger, you would find that wisdom is really good. You could throw javelins and stab things with spears, and you'd be pretty versatile that way. And we don't have a ranger yet, and they're awesome.
I was going to say, you couldn't really do a strength-based ranger because the options for ranger are dex or wisdom.
yeah.
But you
Oh,
could do an archer
You
ranger.
don't allow strength-based rangers. Well, fair enough.
Well, I didn't want to give the ranger like, hey, you can choose any of 3 different stats, because I mean, you could totally
That's
be a strength-based ranger, but you know, you just gotta roll a natural strength if you want to do it.
Frankly, though, we are good for frontliners. It's a waste of your Constitution score not to have you in the front row. But
Correct,
that
yeah.
aside, you actually can frontline with Dex in 5th edition. You just have to get a rapier and a bow, and you would just have to commit to specializing in the rapier. It wouldn't be as good, but you'd still be a pretty good ranger overall, especially if you were to, like, take something that wasn't like an elf, something non-traditional for that. Like, if you were to be a human ranger or, I don't know, like a dwarf swamp ranger or something. Like a dwarf swamp ranger with 18 constitution and a rapier would be funny, but it would work.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So that is an option for you. I guess, what do you feel like playing? Do you want to be the fighter? Because it's not a bad call for you. But if you are, I'm going to have to be a ranger, because we should have someone in the party who gives us that tremendous list of benefits. Even nerfed, they're good.
Correct. Yeah. No. No. Though the reason why I was thinking of the leaning towards like the fighter was because of the buy-in of that 16, replacing my 8 on that strength with a decent constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to be frank, if I was a wood elf, I would have 17 dex, 16 whiz. I wouldn't get to apply a 16 anywhere, but I wouldn't be an awful character.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep. I'm probably leaning back towards the ranger again then.
Oh, you want to go ranger now? Okay.
Mm,
I'm fine with this either way. If you play a ranger, I will make a wizard, and I will deal with the consequences of losing my spellbook frequently. Fortunately for me, in D&D 5, you only need your spellbook to change prepared spells. So you still recover your spent spells on a long rest. I just will be stuck with whatever spells I happen to have known when I lose my spellbook. So it's not entirely unplayable.
Yeah.
So long as I get a spellbook every time I level up, it should work great.
Mm-hmm. Or just need to make a copy of your spellbook and bury it somewhere dry.
Well, I'm sure I can, like,
I suppose I shouldn't
rent
be
a
giving you
box
ideas.
and Clank, but that's
Use,
it. Actually, that is the point. There's no point in me bringing my spellbook out of Clank.
use that goofy prestige class from 3rd edition where you tattoo all your spells on yourself, because they had like several prestige classes in 3rd edition that were like, apparently players are really concerned with how many spellbook pages they use, and that's like apparently a problem for somebody. So they're going to devote levels to it.
One thing that you would want your spellbook available to you for is if you have certain ritual spells, because I believe you need your book to cast ritual spells that you don't have prepared ritually.
I don't think you can even prepare a ritual spell. That any spell that has the ritual keyword can be cast given an hour of time without using any magical energy if you have the book on you.
Right. So you would need your,
But is it worth it? I don't know. If I lose my spell book and I have to get a new one in town, how are you going to run rules on that? How would that happen?
Well, that would probably be difficult. There's like 50 people in Clink, and I don't think any of them are wizards.
So what I would be looking at is at low levels, I would not be taking my spellbook with me. I would need to like rent a locker and Clank, find someone I trust to hold on to my book, and just review it when we go back to level up and get our long rest. And otherwise, once I can make copies of my book, once I have that kind of dosh laying around,
Right.
that will make more sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I'm completely without spellbooks, you'll throw in a decent spellbook for loot, but
Yes. That
Almighty
is a good
Dungeon
point.
Master.
About Dosh and leveling up. We are using treasure as XP for this particular campaign. 1 XP for gold piece recovered. So also gold that's given as rewards for completing tasks or whatever will give XP as well.
For certain like exploration, like achievement style specific.
Yes, I was going to get there. Also, I'm going to give out like certain amounts of like bonus XP for certain exploring certain locations on the map and experiencing certain things. I wrote a few examples in the campaign rules. Khan was describing them before as kind of being like achievements or something. But like some of the examples are, become infected with a wasting disease and survive. The first time that happens, you'll get some experience because that's a life-changing event.
Mhm.
So probably by the time you level up, you'll have some money stashed away, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have leveled. Probably.
Also, I think Slag was trying to get your attention earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was. I need 2 clarifications.
Okay.
The first, both of them are related to the half-orc. The first, When you're reduced to 0 hit points, is that specifically 0 hit points, or is that 0 hit points or lower?
Okay, well,
Negative
first
hit
of all,
points don't
negative hit
exist.
points do not exist in 5th edition.
Uh,
When you are reduced, when you hit 0 or would go lower, you stop at 0, and then you begin making death checks every turn on your turn. I'll explain how death saves work, when they come up. But yeah, you don't go below. You just don't.
okay, excellent.
So
And
yeah,
secondly,
the half orc thing is pretty powerful.
yeah, especially since I have no constitution. Secondly, melee weapons and unarmed attacks are exclusive, right?
Yes, the unarmed attacks and melee. Oh, So let's see. Why am I not find the half orc in the book?
It's specifically savage attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit.
Right. So your question is as if that applies to your unarmed attacks as a monk.
Yes.
Okay. Let me take a look at the wording of the monk's martial arts.
Sorry, was the question when you make a melee attack with your an unarmed strike, does that count for the purpose of getting your second monk strike? Because yes, the answer is yes.
No.
Short swords, light
For,
weapons, and unarmed strikes all count as monk weapons.
For a half-orc's savage attack, but the answer is also yes, because an unarmed strike does count as a melee weapon attack from the Sage Advice, rules clarifications.
Okay.
So punching someone, you get the savage attack bonus.
Okay.
But also,
Savage.
like Retromag is right, I think about the monk attack also counting for the monk's bonus attack, I guess.
Yeah, it's Sorry, I just meant to illustrate overall the rule because that one I did know that unarmed strikes do proc abilities that proc melee attacks, or proc on melee attacks.
Okay.
That makes sense, though. That's good for a half-orc monk, or orc monk in this case, I guess.
Hmm. So there you go. Was there any other clarifications you needed?
No, those were it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I ended up getting my constitution up to 16 with a combination of the human ability score bonus and the feat I took durable. Both increased a score by 1, so now I get 16 in strength, dexterity, and constitution. So yay!
So
I'll
you're
survive a little
good.
bit.
Good. You're a pretty durable warrior then.
It was mostly about the constitution and not even to live. Mainly, it's just that I know with it being called Fever Swamp and having seen the disease table, or the rules about the diseases and how often it gets rolled, I wanted that save to be good.
Now, Con, I see here on your character sheet that you have written under alignment, there should only be 3.
Yes, I did write that. I
Who
stand by
are you
the
going
save.
to pick?
Do you care to elaborate on that?
Well, you see, Fever Swamp is based on the games where the alignments were supposed to be lawful, neutral, and chaotic, and no others. So this newfangled 9 alignment matrix, it's bad.
Sam, I hope
I'm
that was a
sorry.
reference to the number of people that could ride in the canoe.
my alignment is based on a canoe seating chart, I guess.
No.
But
Well, I'm sorry, but there are in fact 9 alignments.
no, do I at least
and-
get alignment languages? So can I have the hand signals of being neutral good or whatever?
No, there are no alignment
Oh.
languages.
No.
Well, there are no alignment languages, but because the alignment languages are just the languages of Celestial and Abyssal and Infernal and all those.
What if you went to alignment school?
That's like my favorite thing from the old editions, though.
It won't matter in as long as we're it probably will not matter much as long as we're in the Fever Swamp, but in the, I suppose, not impossible future scenario where this campaign continues on into higher levels and we go beyond the swamp and exploring the rest of the setting, whatever it is.
We go to the Heatstroke Desert and the Drowning Ocean.
Yeah, yes, the Heatstroke Desert and the Drowning Ocean.
The Short of Breath Mountain.
Yes.
The OK Forest.
Yeah. The really cold tundra.
It'd be called the Frostbite Tundra.
Frostbite Tundra. You're right. I'm sorry. You were more clever than I. But if we get to such high levels that it matters, I am going to assume for this campaign that the Great Wheel cosmology is in effect. So
the Falling Sky.
So devils come from the nine hells, demons come from the
extremely high rent city.
Mount Celestia is a thing.
The opioid small town.
Oh my god.
That where we're starting?
They prefer hallucinogenics here.
Oh.
So I have some interesting decisions to make with regards to race.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, looking at these stats, the natural choice would be to be a human. I put the +1 into Dex and Int. I take Toughness with my starting feat. I'm a little bit more survivable casting spells. On the other hand, in terms of pure versatility, a high elf would be very useful here. I'd get the Dex slightly higher, so that would be easier to boost later. I'd still get the Int bonus, and I'd gain a variety of useful weapon proficiencies that would serve me really well for the fact that sleep is not an option. Although, again, there's some finesse weapons that are simple weapons, so it's not too big of a deal playing the human. Lastly, I am somewhat looking at Goblin, simply because it would be more interesting. But we already have one Goblin in the party, so I guess I'd be... I feel like I'd be intruding on that.
Yeah,
so what
go to
are
hell.
what are you guys thinking? Do you think I should go for Risk the Human and might not necessarily have the proficiencies I need, or should I go with Elf and be only a wizard as a hobby?
Well, like having someone to watch out for, not having to sleep for the only 4 hours of meditation or whatever it was. That would be pretty useful if at least one person can do it as just like a side bonus, even if it means sacrificing proficiencies, maybe. I only half heard what you were saying, honestly, but because I was trying to look something up at the same time. But that's my opinion, at least. And just for some variety, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm the GM. I don't want to tell you what you should play, so I won't voice an opinion.
Someone else. Does he have strong feelings about elves?
Oh, KSB? I mean, his preference generally is that everyone play a human in all the time I've known him, so on the other hand, though, with Sala usually playing bizarre abomination creatures, I think he's probably desensitized to elves and dwarves and other, generic Tolkien-esque fantasy people, demi-humans.
If you're with it, I'll be honest here, Con. Yes, I prefer that people play humans, but elves and dwarves are basically just humans. So they're okay. I don't get bent out of shape.
They're just humans of different sizes.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, so this one's a small furry human, and this one's like a tall, arrogant asshole human. That's fine.
I'm going to start looking over backgrounds, because that might that might move me one direction or another on this. I've definitely got it narrowed down to human or elf. I can make either work. Human is arguably much better, but I'm not going to let that make the decision for me. So let's see.
I think you were talking though about like doing the elf and getting the dexterity bonus for that.
Well, I'd get the same +3 to dex either way. The only question is, from going an elf, I get 17 instead of 16, and I can wield a rapier and longbow instead of a dagger and crossbow.
I think it would be very cool to have like a like elfin fencing wizard.
There's actually a specific class for that.
Well,
I'm not going to take it,
Yeah.
but it exists.
I think that would be kind of cool. So you know,
Although with
That's
6
an
Constitution, the fencing is less of an option. The good thing about human is
oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
plus
that's
4
right.
con.
You got a bad con, and you're a wizard, so you're gonna have like 2 hit points.
But with toughness, it goes up.
Right.
That undoes my bad con.
I guess it's good. It's still good to have it as a backup, but I guess you would mostly be using short bow or just using a flame bolt,
Crossbow probably, but
Yeah.
or a gun.
flame bolt cantrip, or a gun. That's right, because guns are an option.
That does pull me hard towards human because a high elf with a gun is just wrong. Well, the only one who
Or if-
thinks that
If Aranya were here,
No.
she would strongly disagree.
really.
Oh yes, no
On
doubt.
In Darkwood, which was the campaign that I was running before, which ended, and then Brightwood took its place. She was an elven sniper trying to bring about the elven communist utopia.
That does sound like her.
Yeah.
And she
I
had a
have a
giant wolf
question.
companion.
Yes, which died tragically.
Well,
I
Yeah,
have
she
a
was she was a ranger with a elven magic rifle that could shoot you in the soul. Anyway,
So I was wondering, some of the races have sub races listed.
yes,
Can we pick sub races?
absolutely.
And since
You actually
since
have
the goblin,
Yeah.
okay, well since the goblin uses the gnome, does that mean I can pick a sub race of a race I'm not actually playing?
You have to.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you have to be either a forest goblin or a rock goblin.
Delightful. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so
I think there
I've
might be
looked-
River Goblin out there if you look as well.
Not in the
I've
core
looked it
book.
over,
I don't have it.
and I think I'm gonna go with a mountain dwarf.
Mountain dwarf.
Yeah.
Mountain dwarf bard.
Yep.
That sounds cool. That's great. I love it.
So, question on that: the ability score increase, the con increase from the base class, does that combine with the strength increase, or does the strength override?
Let me take a look. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So So all types of dwarfs get the dwarf traits stuff. So that's the con bonus and the size, speed, dark vision, dwarven resilience, combat training. All dwarfs get that.
Okay.
Then you choose hill dwarf or mountain dwarf to give you additional features. So in this case, if you're a mountain dwarf, you get a +2 to con and a +2 to strength. Oh my god, that's great! Everyone should be mountain dwarf.
Right. That's why I went with it.
Yeah, and you'll
also
have
just sounds cool.
the dwarven armor training as well.
Okay, cool. No, I mean it partly because of the stat increases, but also it just being a mountain dwarf bard sounds weird and cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen. There are mountain dwarf bards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They just sing about rocks.
I thought it was gold.
Yeah, that's
Dragons.
gnomes for some reason.
Hmm.
All right. So where are we at?
I was writing down stuff for my class now, like the proficiencies and picking skills and such.
I'm just looking at the backgrounds to get some character inspiration.
So yes, everyone should be adding to your character sheets the your features and things. For your class, so everyone has access to the needed information that they need for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, how are you hoping to handle water vehicle proficiency? A lot of the backgrounds provide it, but I don't know if any of the ones in core do.
Oh, I was going to assume that any one of you can maneuver a raft or a canoe, perfectly fine. I'm not going to be making anyone make checks for getting the boat to go, unless like if it's in, there might be like some strength athletic checks to like push the raft or row the canoe, faster than the monster that's trying to eat you or whatever.
You don't normally make checks for vehicle proficiency. It's just if you have the vehicle proficiency, you can operate the vehicle fine. If you don't, then you'll
right.
struggle. There's 2 in the PHB, Sailor and Pirate, that have water vehicle proficiency. But
Okay. Yeah. It might be needed for a barge. I think anything smaller than a barge, though, you don't need proficiency to make it function. You certainly don't need it for a raft or a canoe. Yeah, I'm gonna say if no one has proficiency in water vehicles, and you manage to like pool your money and buy a barge at some point, maybe you'll have to hire some people with proficiency too.
well, I'm leaning towards either Sailor or Guild Artisan, depending, because we wanted those cartographers tools, and that would be a good way to gain access to them. And an Elven cartographer seems like a good addition to this team. Who's our ranger planning to be a cartographer?
Yeah, I would
Or
suggest
human cartographer, sorry.
Yes, I would suggest that somebody take proficiency with cartographer's tools.
All right.
If
I'll get
only
to work on
because you
that.
can use it to get some XP by mapping the area.
And it was something like advantage on navigation to like a certain hex if we've mapped it out, I think.
Yes,
Or something to that
yeah.
effect.
If you have a map of a hex, you'll always have advantage while traveling through that hex. Additionally, I will only roll a d12 on the encounter table instead of a d20.
Oh yeah.
Which it's a little meta why that would happen, I guess. But yeah, there are still plenty of scary things on from 1 to 12, because 10 and 20 are both the same pretty bad result.
Those are the zombies, I think, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
it
the Sodom
halves the
Jealous Dead.
chances then.
Yeah. Not quite halves, but it does take off everything from 13 to 20, which is mostly bad stuff. So, so yeah, having a map means that you'll get advantage traveling through an area, and we'll have a easier encounter table. So, also making a map will get you a small amount of experience points.
That's cool then.
But you basically need cartographer's proficiency with cartographer's tools in order to attempt the check. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can't like make a map that's useful to anyone.
Yeah, not a meaningful one.
Right.
I hadn't actually realized until just now that Barbarian Raging was based on a long rest and not a short one. Yes,
Uh-oh.
you really need to fill back up that reserve of inner rage.
Glycogen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you do. You have to spend a night in civilization to get your rage back, I guess, in this game, which has some funny implications.
I'm so tired of these utensils.
Yep.
Alternatively, maybe he just needs to go and like get really drunk in the bar, and like get back in the right mood of it. I don't know.
Maybe going and seeing his oppressors reminds him why he was mad in the first place.
He goes
Just
and
put
remembers,
Elliot
this is
in.
why I live out in the swamp. I hate everyone. And then he's got a new pool of rage to take out into
I wish
the
I
world.
could be this angry all the time.
It would be so useful. Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that just means that you'll have to be conservative with the use of your rage. Same with the wizards and their spells.
That's fair enough.
Yes. So, Sala. You're a goblin warlock?
Yeah, I'm figuring out my information here.
Okay.
I'm a rock goblin.
Okay. Rock goblin. What's that give you? I don't even remember what the different gnome things were.
My constitution goes up one more.
That's a good thing. That's a good choice to make.
You're slightly better at making intelligence history checks related to magical items and alchemical objects and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can make lighters and music boxes and toys.
All right, it's a tinker gnome. Right. Okay. Tinker goblin. Yeah.
Yeah, but stripped of all of the Dragonlance setting elements.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, our artisan tool proficiency. Ooh.
You get
For
like
some reason,
any artisan tool that you want.
Or I guess it just says Tinker's Tools. Tinker's Tools. That's it.
Okay.
As I confidently began to say, it just says. I then looked down and saw. Oh, I'm wrong.
Right. Okay.
I forgot about Dragonlance, and when Sala said it, I was thinking of Dragon Mech, which is a very different setting. I was wondering
So
why the
what?
gnome proficiencies came from that.
I know, right? It's weird how they just stole that stuff from another author.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to either take carpenter's tools or cook's utensils.
Well, the Half Moon Keep game taught us that carpentry is the most useful skill.
No, it's not. Glue magic is.
That's just like the bad mundane version of it.
Yeah.
I still say that a decent carpenter could have replaced me.
It would have taken longer. It would have caused
Oh.
noise and such.
He would-
Yeah,
He
also,
would've needed,
the
like,
carpenter
nails
couldn't
and
have
shit.
gotten us through the keep wall because you
That's
didn't
true.
just cast stick wood together. You also created mage doors,
That's true. I did those two things.
and that was really all you needed to do because you that allowed us to get Telgan's rat paladin close enough to the bad guys to do his job.
Support matters.
Yes. Like,
Meanwhile, my character got us into the keep and then was completely useless for the rest of the adventure.
and my character didn't do much except sing to your character's foot after he broke it. Which healed it because elf magic.
Great.
Yes. Archermock, I think you would like Burning Wheel. You should look into it at some point.
Someday I will.
Yeah.
So,
But today is not that day.
Yeah.
What exactly is the difference between carpenter's tools and woodcarver's tools?
You see, you would use
I mean-
woodcarver's tools to make like a big, totem thing, and you would use carpenter's tools to make a chair.
Yeah, basically.
Or repair a boat, presumably.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Or possibly to make a raft, out of like some trees.
Hey,
Dugout
KSB.
canoe.
Yes.
So you've got in the races, you've got the halfling resilience stuff that it applies to disease as well as poison.
Yes.
Does that carry for dwarven resilience, or is that separate for you?
Don't know. I don't remember why Past Me decided that halflings needed to have that benefit.
I mean, if not, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to know so I can put it down.
I'm just gonna reread the halfling thing. Okay. Why did I decide to make that better? What did Past Me think? I don't know.
That's why you should have put comments. It's like trying to look at code that you wrote weeks ago.
Mhm.
You'll never know what the thought process was.
Yeah.
No, but my code is
I'm gonna say
self-commenting.
no because I didn't do
God,
that
great.
at the time.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know.
Oh, one thing. In one of my instead of an artisan tool, I can take a musical instrument. Is banjo an option?
I don't see why not.
I need to take another
Appropriate.
banjo so we can have dueling banjos.
No, I'm joking about that though. I think I will take the carpenter's tools just so we have a way to make sure that we're not screwed if one of the boats gets a leak,
Mm-hmm.
or all of the boats get a leak,
Mhm.
or
Well-
a gator eats one of the boats.
Yeah.
Well, a crocodile, but
Right. Or a zombie, or any of the other horrible things that could break a boat.
a zombodile.
A zombodile. Yeah, the undead crocs are probably the scariest thing in the swamp. Like, imagine a crocodile, but it fears nothing,
They're swimming
That's
around and eating
basically
up the living
just a crocodile.
and it feels no pain,
That's basically just a crocodile.
and it hungers incessantly forever. It's never full.
That's basically just a crocodile. Have you ever met a crocodile?
Yes, and mostly they just kind of laze around and aren't constantly trying to eat you.
Whereas the undead crocodile stays in one place, unmoving, until it sees something to eat. No, the
I
undead
mean-
crocodile probably never stops moving.
Always on the
And
hunt.
on death, it becomes suddenly way, way, way more active.
And it fears nothing.
I'm looking at backgrounds now and trying to pick one.
Me too.
Yes, so if everyone has like their race and class stuff done, we should probably as a group look at backgrounds. So
I do have one question, and
Yes.
it's more about how to enter stuff. For mine, I've got tool proficiency, and I'm going to choose the Smith's tools. How do I put that into the character sheet?
okay, so
Like, I see that there's the tool thing, right? So, but I don't know which attribute to put them under.
Query. because for tool proficiencies, it just supposed to depend on what you're doing. I just had to look this up.
Okay.
As usual for a confusingly written RPG book, the rules for that are in the item lists.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, that
That's
makes
where they
more
should
sense
be.
than some others.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
no, that's fine. That's all I had.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that.
see, I'd assume they'd be in skills, but of course I couldn't find them.
Yeah. So moving on to the backgrounds. Now, Creator, you haven't played 5th edition before, so this might be a new concept for you.
It is.
In 5th edition, in addition to choosing your race and class, you also choose a third option, which is your background, which sort of defines, where your character came from, what he was doing before he became an adventurer. The options that are in the basic set, the player's handbook, that is the word, are these are really just sample suggestions. It's entirely within the rules as written to change these, make up your own. But we'll at least base them in these. The options are. Is there like a simple list here I can write down? I don't see it. The ones in the player's handbook, we have the acolyte, which is like if you've spent your service in the life of a temple or something like that. Charlatan, criminal, entertainer, folk hero, guild artisan, the hermit, the noble, the outlander, sage, the sailor, the variant sailor, which is a pirate, soldier, or street urchin. So those are the options, and each background is going to give you 2 skill proficiencies. They might give you languages. They might give you tool proficiencies, and they'll give you some bonus equipment appropriate to your background. Now, for this game, we are rolling for gold for our equipment, so you're not getting your class equipment. But I looked through most of the backgrounds, and I decided that I'm going to let you keep your equipment from your background.
Cool.
Because most of the equipment from your background is less equipment and more flavorful stuff. But there is valuable equipment in there as well. But there's stuff like like the noble has a set of fine clothes, a signet ring, a scroll of pedigree, proving their identity, and some extra gold. That's just stuff that I think that I'm fine with you just having, and not going to charge you for. So yeah, so
Since we live or are in a swamp, if I took folk hero, could I exchange tool proficiency vehicles land for vehicles water?
yeah, that certainly seems appropriate.
And there was like on that note too, if I recall correctly, didn't the Fever Swamp book have like a rumor table, and it was like what your role is based on whether you actually live in the swamp or whether you're like someone coming to it from somewhere else, if I remember right.
Let me take a look at that. Let's see. For those far away from the swamp or uninformed, for those adjacent and who've heard of the swamp, roll d6. For those living in the swamp or interested in it, roll. Okay, yeah. So
oh, cool. I didn't make that up.
Yeah, and actually, it has 3 different levels of it. Yeah. So if your background is that you were from the swamp, you will have an opportunity of learning better, more true rumors at the beginning of the game.
Yay.
Yeah. So Creador, our mountain dwarf bard, what do you think your character may have been doing before he decided to, give up his life and trudge into the Fever Swamp with a band of insane people and try and drag gold out of the muck?
Oh.
What was he in his previous life before he made his bad decisions?
Well, I mean, the obvious one is entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other thought was charlatan, perhaps, but I kind of liked the variant for entertainer.
The Gladiator?
Yeah,
Oh, that would be interesting. So
like that made sense to me, especially given the stats and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes,
know,
he is the buffest bard that ever existed.
right?
Um,
So I mean, you know, the gladiator just sort of fits with the character as it is right now.
yeah, I like that.
Because you know, the charlatan kind of makes sense for a generic bard, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like this guy's going to be going around scheming.
Right, yeah.
I feel like he's more likely to punch his way through a problem if he can't sing his way through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds that sounds perfect to me.
So
If you'd
I
like
guess
to go with that.
yeah. So I guess okay. So it looks like it's pretty much the same stuff. It's just a different flavor background, right?
Right. You can replace the musical instrument in your equipment package with an inexpensive but unusual weapon like a trident or a net, if you want. You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I need my musical instrument.
And when using your by popular demand feature, you find a place for like arena combat or secret pit fighting club instead of an inn to perform at as a musical bard.
I will be the only person in Clink's Gladiator Arena.
Every day you go in, is no one man enough to do battle with? And you just do that every time, and everyone cheers, and no one ever fights you.
And then you take 80% of your of the entrance fee as your prize, and give the other 20% to Dennis, who runs the general store, for hosting the event.
Of course, that works out to be like 2 gold. So
Yeah,
Right.
you get upwards of like 2 visitors a week if your parents manage to get the third person to come.
Yes.
okay, yeah, no, I like that.
Okay. Yeah. So entertainer gives proficiency in acrobatics and performance. So you can check those boxes in your character sheet.
Acrobatics.
And of course, under your tool proficiencies, you can add disguise kit and type of musical instrument.
Disguise kit. Well, that gives me 4 musical instrument proficiencies.
Oh wow.
You'll have to you'll have to make some decisions about what those are in a little bit.
Yeah.
And as your equipment, you get a musical instrument of your choice, a favor of an admirer, a love letter, lock of hair, or trinket, a costume, a gladiator costume, I assume.
I'm gonna be a luchador.
Great, Dwarven Luchador, I love it. And a belt pouch containing an additional 15 gold pieces.
Cool. Okay, so real quick, much like the Smith tools, the disguise kit, is that just under the equipment list somewhere? All of that stuff?
Yeah, probably. It's
Okay,
probably.
I'll look through.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Cool.
I found it.
Cool. So I don't know. Con, what do you got for your background? You told me before when we were talking about Barbarian, you were thinking going Outlander.
Yeah, but it's pretty on the nose. So I was looking at Hermit, and I kind of like that one, looking through it now.
I'm also looking at Hermit.
Oh,
Hermit
yay.
is cool.
But I was trying to figure out how I would justify having been a swamp hermit if I don't have boat proficiency.
You don't need boat proficiency to operate a raft,
Oh, okay, never mind then.
as I
I'm
said
I'm
many
probably gonna be
times a few
hermit.
minutes ago.
You're just a
I don't
stationary
listen.
swamp hermit.
Yeah.
No one visit me on this shore, on top of this tree.
If you were a warlock of the entity that I'm going to that we discussed
Yes.
before, then I think Hermit would make a lot of sense for you.
Hence why I said I would probably be a hermit. I know what my discovery is.
Mm-hmm. Well, there might be additional things, but
Yeah, but I mean that's probably what it. What about you, Colin?
your discovery would be related to that. Yeah.
I haven't actually gotten that far. I'm writing down, what do you call it? Like the equipment that you get from having been a hermit. I'm gonna have to think about the discovery and such. The discovery is a new moral philosophy based upon rage and raging against civilization, I suppose.
He found a tape, one of those 50s propaganda films where the guy's like, 3 emotional states exist: rage, fear, and love.
Yeah, something like that.
By the way, Creator, as a bard, you do get proficiency in 3 skills of your choice. I just noticed you haven't marked those yet, so you can do that. It's just
I did not notice that, so I
Yep.
will do that. Cool.
any 3 skills.
Neat. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah, I get 5 gold pieces for my equipment. For my background.
Mm-hmm. You'll get to roll for more.
For like 5 more gold pieces, because barbarians roll a very low number. I think it might have been like 1d4 times 10 or something.
It's better than the
Might
monk.
Oh yeah, no, monk was the lowest, not barbarian. Right.
Yep.
Which
Still
makes
mad
sense.
that I rolled for gold in your scattering the pieces game. I was a paladin. I couldn't even afford to start with a sword, and I had to have the shittiest armor. Oh, it was painful.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
I could have had better if I had just gone with the basic kit. I couldn't. I actually looked afterwards. I couldn't have actually afforded the kit if I had rolled the best.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Well, actually, I think I could have if I had gotten like the highest numbers.
Oh. Well, you can have whatever equipment you want if I restart it and do it in, 2 bows instead of D&D.
Right. Yeah. And then we'll be playing in Chuvo's diceless machine, and it won't matter whether I have a sword or a flail. Actually, I grew attached to having a flail anyway because I was imagining him using his telekinesis to spin it, and in very dangerous ways, and I liked that. Anyway, yes. So, So you did go with hermit then, Connie?
Yeah, I am. I'm just writing the stuff down for it, but I am set on being a hermit, I think. So, yep.
Okay. So my obvious question then is, were you a hermit out in the swamp, or were you a hermit somewhere else who has come to the swamp bringing whatever your discovery is?
I think I'm leaning towards not being from the swamp, maybe from being from somewhere up this way on the Roll20 where I'm gesturing up
I see.
in these forested hills or something like that. That might be nice. Saul's character can teach me about how you live the local hermit style. Sort of my strange foreign hermit ways.
Sorry, I'm a bad teacher. That's why I lived alone in the swamp.
No, you just lived alone because you didn't have a boat. You couldn't use a boat to get back to town.
I'm going to take the first option. I was searching for spiritual enlightenment because that one sounds kind of vague. Actually, a number of them sound kind of vague. I was a pilgrim in search of a person, place, or relic of spiritual significance because I really wanted to be a hermit, but I didn't know what about. Actually, yeah, that one sounds perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Con, unless you have a specific idea of what your discovery might be, I may have to come back to that.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't intend to do two. I wasn't going to come up with anything right at this second.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Okay.
Actually, I'm making coffee now, so I should have more ideas later, but no promises.
Okay. Yeah. So, whose backgrounds have we not talked about yet? Slag?
I did mention mine. Folk hero.
Right. And you're thinking that you're from the swamp?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would have done something to gain some notoriety. Now your feature, rustic hospitality. Since you come from the ranks of the common folk, you fit in among them with ease. You can find a place to hide, rest, or recuperate among other commoners, unless you have shown yourself to be a danger to them. Blah blah blah. So, are you seeing that you are? Let me think. You are an orc.
Yep.
And is slightly that's interesting because orcs are not a population that is in this area. So I guess my question to you is: are you a folk hero from the people in the village of Clink, or are you the folk hero of the people who live in the swamp? The weird, strange tribes with their myriad of bizarre customs and general strangeness. Are you one of them? Did you do something to make yourself famous amongst them, or are you from the villages to the north?
He is a folk hero of the swamp folk.
Okay. I think we might have to talk a bit about them away from here. But
Very well.
so, but what sort of event was it that made you a folk hero? Do you think? There's like the list of defining events in the player's handbook that you can like look at for inspiration.
I was thinking Let me recheck all that just to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you figure the attribute would be to roll with the cartographer's tools?
Intelligence.
All right.
Herbalism kit.
What about herbalism kit?
Exact same question.
Oh. I would think either intelligence or wisdom.
Obviously, wisdom, right?
I mean, I don't know. What can you do with herbalism kit?
I wrote down wisdom for what it's worth, at least.
It must be wisdom. I'll just write down wisdom.
Okay, write down wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom is survival, so presumably it'd be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is also medicine, but int is nature. So
Oh, that's true. That's right. That's right. So yeah,
Would,
yeah, wisdom, I guess, is fine.
Would the disguise kit come out as charisma?
Probably most things that you would most times you would be rolling it be charisma.
I'll be back.
Anyway, there was a cruel child of nobility, man who,
So like a
lo-
son of a shaman or something, because the people don't have nobility.
he was an outsider,
Okay.
and he came into the swamp because he had been outcast from his own people and basically wanted to make a claim in the swamp and lord it over a bunch of the swamp people.
Mm-hmm.
And my guy basically was like, no, you don't.
Okay. Yeah.
So he basically protected the swamp people from the outsiders, and now he's an accepted. He's an honorary swamp boy.
you gonna get in trouble for traveling with the likes of us?
Not necessarily, no.
I mean,
there is.
you guys,
I will tell you this then Slag. There is a shaman who is very much touched by the spirits. He doesn't have a name. He is known only as the Nameless Shaman. But he lives in the swamp and is the shaman of one of the tribes known as the Faceless Ones, who they wrap themselves in leathers so that their skin is never visible, and they all have a vow of silence. Him as well, but the spirits have allowed him to communicate mentally. He has telepathic powers. Many tribes look up to him as a leader these days, and he was very pleased with your actions and was the one who gave you this blessing. So now the tribes that are aligned with him will welcome you
nice.
and know your face. Well, we'll know an orc, because you'll be the only orc they've ever seen.
Well, at least I won't be getting confused for anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, assuming no other orcs show up in the swamp.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm not going to mark their village on the map, though, because the people are do move from time to time when monsters in the swamp force them to. So you don't know exactly where they are now, but so I won't add them to the map.
Fair enough.
That's good. Yes.
So, 2 questions. One technical, the other hilarious. So, technical question.
Okay.
Spellbooks.
Yes.
Am I paying 50 gold pieces to start with a spellbook?
That's a good question. Let me take a look at what I said that, I mean, I guess probably not, because, like, if you didn't roll enough to have a spellbook, that would be, like, oh, I guess you can't be a wizard. Let's see, wizards get, 44 times 10 gold, yeah. Yeah, I guess you start with 1 spellbook. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That opens me up to the possibility of starting with 2. I'll have to keep that in mind. Second question. Obviously, as a member of the Guild of Cartographers,
Right.
I should have a familiar. And the most natural familiar would be a bird of some sort, like a raven. However, it might be really funny if I took a cat.
Oh, your cat would be miserable.
It would. It would not be a happy cat.
Your
Yeah.
familiar should be a map.
Let's sing
Well,
the
I'll
map
keep thinking
song.
on that. Because it's 2 different approaches to the character.
Mhm.
One would be someone who'd been a bookish cartographer out on their first expedition, on the expedition they could get, which, given that he's got 6 constitution and is traveling in a place called the Fever Swamp, makes a lot of sense that he didn't really know what he was signing up for, and having the cat along would drive that home. On the other hand, the bird is going to be more useful.
Mhm. Yeah, having a flying familiar is always incredibly useful. Well, I guess you'll think on that. Calvin, you've been quiet.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's going on with you?
I've been going back and forth. I think I'm gonna do Outlander as well. Go the direction of a guide.
All right. Yeah. So Outlander Ranger. That's yeah. Yeah. Keep in mind the Outlander's feature has been changed a little bit for this game, but other than that, yeah. So let's see. Outlander's equipment: staff, a hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed. Maybe what's that? What kind of trophy do you have?
Yeah, that'd be kind of hard to decide.
A human head.
Human head. No, I was thinking of something more along the lines of maybe a jawbone,
Mm-hmm.
because it would also be a useful tool.
Mhm.
So, let's say a jawbone from some sort of swamp beast.
Toplapass. No idea how you managed to kill one, but yeah. Yeah. So it seems like everyone's like coming like pretty narrowed down on backgrounds. Related to the backgrounds, you'll have personality traits, ideal, bond, flaw. The idea behind these in 5th edition is that, you know, when you play to these traits that you select from your background, or use as inspiration and write your own. That's how you regain inspiration, which is a resource that you can spend in fifth edition Creator. You can't stop you. I'm saying Creator because he's the only one who hasn't played 5th edition before. So you spend it before you roll to gain advantage on the roll. You either have inspiration or you don't. You can't stockpile it, so it's not like fate points where you can get like a whole big stack of chips and then blow them all in the final conflict. You either have inspiration or you don't. By raw, really the only way of getting them back is you play to these traits and the GM remembers that, oh yeah, I'm supposed to give out inspiration, and then he gives out inspiration. In my experience, this never happens. So, keeping that with that in mind, here are a few things. I do want everyone to choose a trait, an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. I do want you to choose your bits, and yes, if you do something that's suboptimal because of your flaw and you don't currently have inspiration, I'll reward inspiration. I won't. I'll forget. But if someone tells me, hey, I did the dumb thing because my flaw is I do the dumb thing when this happens, I'll be like, oh, yes, please take an inspiration. Or if someone says, hey, Khan did a really good job of playing to their bond of, I would die to recover this ancient relic, then
they can have a posthumous inspiration point.
Then their character can have an inspiration point to spend on that death save, maybe.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So yes, the raw stuff is there, and I invite you guys to tell me when you're doing things because of your things, or to nominate each other. Simply because I'm terrible about remembering to give out inspiration. However, remembering to give it out for role-playing purposes. However, that said, something I'm planning on doing is I'm going to take a page from Savage Worlds. And Savage Worlds has the interludes thing, which is basically the idea in Savage Worlds is that whenever there's a break in the action, your characters are traveling or camping or whatever, the GM will draw a card, and then the suit of that card will tell him what kind of story to ask one of the players to tell about their background. And then if that character does the thing that they're asked, tells the story they're asked to tell, they get a Benny. I'm going to do something kind of like that. If someone in the party doesn't have inspiration, sometimes, maybe depending on timing and things, I might, when we have our short rest, ask you something about your character's past, something that they did before they came to the swamp, or something about their childhood, or where did you grow up? Who was the first person that you killed? Connie, tell me about the first time that you went into a barbarian rage. Something like that. And then I will award an inspiration for that. So that's just an additional way other than the bits. Because while I do want you to write some down and keep them in mind, it's not the greatest mechanic.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. So you'll see example traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws for each background. You don't have to take one of those. You can make up your own, but they're pretty good inspirations.
I know I picked some of them. Mostly at this point, I'm just fitzing with equipment, trying to figure out how much money I can set aside for a boat, whether I need to take an attack cantrip, that kind of thing. The spare spell book might end up having to go.
Well, why don't we take a moment and talk about what your bits are like then, and then you can get back to that while we see about the others.
All right. I am rude to people who lack my commitment to hard work and fair play. My ideal is community. It is the duty of all civilized people to strengthen the community and extend the security of civilization. My bond is that I will return triumphant with the map of the most unmappable place in creation. My flaw is that I would kill to acquire noble title.
Wonderful! I love this character already. And
He's
yeah,
obviously not from the swamp. He's coming here from somewhere nice.
yes. Speaking of, I should probably talk a little bit about the area beyond the swamp. The setting does not go into very much detail about the world outside. Obviously, we know that there is there's gunpowder and such, but beyond that, not very much is known. Is given. Basically, the only thing that we know is that north of Clink, the region up there is part of the Niflberg Empire.
Niflberg sounds like a great place to be from. I'll be from Niflberg.
Yes. I have a feeling that your character is probably right from Niflberg, probably the capital itself. It's probably where you were educated. Yeah. So I'm seeing in my head that the Niflberg Empire is maybe like a 1700s Europe, maybe like France, if France hadn't started killing all the nobles, or France maybe right before they start killing all the nobles.
That started in 1789, so for most of the 1700s, still pretty good.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, I don't know.
I'm surprised you went with France and not Germany, though. From my spoilery.
Yeah, I might have to insist on not Vienna, if that's possible.
Okay. I don't know. I was just kind of like imagining their army is in. I was trying to imagine the Niflbergian Empire army, even though no one took soldier, and I was just thinking like I was just seeing like a line of Napoleonic troops.
Well, Napoleonic would be 19th century.
Everyone dogpile on KSB about European history and just.
I am fully aware that it was that Napoleon is 1800s. I was very much aware of that.
It's okay. It's okay.
I took
I
European
wasn't
history
wrong.
with him. I know he knows about Europe.
I wasn't wrong. I was merely like. I was saying that, but a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Saying that
Fair
as
enough.
late as that, so like late 1700s, but still an empire, not with all the nobles dead.
Yep.
Wonderful.
That works.
And you don't need to tell me that Napoleon's an emperor, so it was an empire, because I know that. That's not my point. You know what I mean.
Let me see. I'm trying to decide if I want to work on the background stuff more or start on equipment and pretend I'm going to think about background stuff as I'm doing equipment.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sala, I want to talk to you about your your pact.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit before, and your warlock has a pact with an entity known as Grandfather Rot. Grandfather Rot has a physical form within the
Swamp.
within the swamp. Hold on, just right there. Wait, why did the name not show up?
Oh, Roll20. I forgot. We have a map here.
Damn it! I can't slide my character sheet off the window.
Why is it not displaying the nameplate even though the box is clicked? Oh.
I see a big man with a funny red thing on him in the middle of the map.
Yes.
Just draw it with the pen.
No. I'll do it later. Alright, I don't know why it's not working. But okay. Yes, so that is where his location is. Grandfather Rot, he lies there. He is he is a giant, his body takes up most of that hex. Well, not most.
Oh, jeez.
Not most of it, but from head to toe, he stretches across. He is asleep now, and has been. You, through some means that I don't know what they are yet, have made a pact with him. He occasionally gives you visions and dreams, which give you instructions on what you need to do, as it is in order to maintain your pact with him. In exchange, he has given you power,
Limited spellcasting.
and whatever other powers you take. And additionally, there are entities in the swamp, creatures known as scumboggles. They are favored creatures of his. I wouldn't quite call them his children, but they are created by him, and in fact, 3d8 of them live in his nose.
Yeah.
No one will know for sure until we check.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we definitely have to show up there.
Mm-hmm. A scumboggle, since you have definitely encountered them, Sala, are diminutive.
Thousands of times.
Yes. They are diminutive, green-skinned children who slink through the waters, their gills pumping endlessly. Their spear tips rest above the water, giving away their position. They're not very smart. The only thing they love more than eating man flesh is cheese.
Let me tell you about cheese.
So, your character, Sala, your warlock, would definitely know to make sure he brings some cheese with him into the swamp, so that
Yeah.
he can pacify any scumboggles he encounters.
Now, a Retromux wizard from the Dungeon World game would be useful here.
Yes, unfortunately, this wizard is not going to care for cheese.
No. It's fair, though.
And if it matters, I'm going to say that scumboggles are technically a type of fae.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to have the bank to make a backup spellbook, unfortunately, so I'm just going to have to live with that.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, dang.
At least not right away. It costs the spell book, and it also costs 10 GP per spell level copied into the spell book. So I will just only know 2 spells when I lose my spell book. I guess I should just leave it in town.
That might be for the best. Also, related to Saul's character, I feel like he's played this character before, from what I hear.
Yeah, I only have like 2 characters I play.
Yes.
That's a thing.
It just depends on how I multi-class later. Will I pick fighter and then rogue, or will I pick a different class?
Well, you know what? I know a few specialists, people who play basically the same character in every campaign, and it's not a problem so long as they make it fit the campaign, and they can be a lot of fun. I think it's a perfectly valid approach to role playing.
That's not an adequate description of me.
Oh, well, fair enough.
I am not a specialist. I just keep picking the same shit.
Right. Well, I will keep that in mind.
As for my own bits, I am not sure yet. Of course, I actually have to think of them because as far as I remember when I saw them, the Hermits ones were all like, I'm a really weird religious guy who wanders outside. But I'm a goblin who wandered into the swamp and for some reason made a pact with a big nose.
So, are we thinking that we're each going to pay for a portion of a canoe?
That might be
I
the best way
assumed
to
so.
do it. Yeah.
So there's going to be 7 of us, so we're going to want 3 canoes. So 3 canoes will cost us... How much are 3 canoes? 150 gold pieces. 150 gold pieces divided by 7. You know what? I'm just going to cheat. Come over here. Close my character sheet down. Roll 150 over 7.
Let's take out a loan.
21 and a
from the
half
bank.
gold each. So if we can make 21 and a half gold each happen, we can have our boats.
All right, nice. I had 75, so I can probably part with my fair share of that after I get my stuff bought.
Yes. So did people have so people have been rolling for gold? Does anyone need me to tell them how much they need to roll?
I have not rolled for it yet.
Okay.
No.
Let's see. So Creator, bards get 5d4 times 10 gold pieces.
Okay. So 120 plus the 15. Okay.
So that's what you'll have to spend for your gear.
Okay.
Everything that didn't come from your background.
I also managed to get a mildly interesting trinket.
Oh, I forgot about those after. I want to roll for that.
Let's see. I want to get the actual description. I'm off in the bog that is the spell list right now. Trinkets. I wound up with a small idol depicting a nightmarish creature that gives me unsettling dreams when I sleep near it.
Oh, wow. That is neat.
Which you always do.
Of course.
It's clearly important.
Yeah, no, that's the point.
I got a small box filled with different sized buttons.
I'm
sure that'll be useful one day.
I'm going to have to ask you why you have that later. But I won't ask it now so that I can ask it later and you can get inspiration for it.
I'll try to have an answer.
Remember to spend your
I can think of
inspiration as soon as
several.
you have it, because if you don't, the GM will give you inspiration again and it'll be worthless.
Well, you worded that weirdly. You also aren't wrong. You can't get more inspiration until you spend your inspiration. So you should spend your inspiration so you can have inspiration on more rolls. I suppose.
What's our ability to store things in the canoes? Like, if we want to grab some, like, tents and ropes, is that something the canoe can carry alongside us?
Yes. I'm assuming when I said the amount of people each vehicle could carry, I was assuming them and a reasonable amount of gear for that many people.
Well, a tent's very heavy, so I'm just double checking that's reasonable.
Yeah. Tents are fine.
Alright.
I mean, tents aren't that heavy.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
That's only like 4 backpacks.
I guess.
It's like 2 ropes.
Yeah.
My character has 91.18 pounds of gear, and that's not even counting his pitons, because apparently the sheet can't handle things that are less than 1 pound.
Yeah, fortunately we're not counting pounds.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, there is a
We're
lot of
not playing GURPS this time for once.
And remember, bows are useless in D&D 5th edition because you can't buy arrows.
Wait, what?
I think you're referring to the initial print where arrows wasn't a listed item.
Oh.
I
That's
thought they
pretty
just
funny.
came with a quiver myself, but
And then when it's empty, you throw it away and buy a new bow.
I don't think ammo tracking is meant to be a big deal in 5th, but if you want to do
No.
it, we can do it.
Definitely not.
But that's my key thing I do, you know. 1, 2. Alright, I got 98 left.
I like the dice approach, where you have like a ammunition die that you roll, and if it comes up, what is it, like a 1, you reduce it to the next lowest size of die until it's a d4 and goes away. Basically the same way as the ship HV works, if I remember right.
Yeah. I hated tracking ammo in Shadowrun. But I would always buy, like, at the beginning of the campaign, I'd just buy like 200 regular bullets, and then just never track them again. And only tracked like any like weird special bullets that I had.
See, I think I only ever would buy like one, like, or maybe like 4 magazines, and then I'd never actually shoot any bullets at all. So I never had to track my bullets.
It's true. Although, to be fair, then I never wasn't shooting high explosive rounds, so, you know. And I felt obligated to track those. Even though I did usually just buy, like, yeah, I buy like 50 of these, and then that'll last me a game.
It's stick and shock. It's always stick and shock. That's what you get.
No, it's high explosive.
Ah, stick and shock.
I was playing a Hitman. I had high explosive.
You just tase them in the brainstem, and then they like die forever. Or I'm sorry, they're stunned forever.
All right. So where are we at in the process? Where is everyone?
I think I might actually be done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read over this list of equipment, and you guys shout at me if I miss something I should definitely have, okay?
Okay.
Traveler's clothes, cartographer's tool, 2 arcane focus wands, a spell book, a dagger, backpack, bedroll, light crossbow, 5 scroll cases, a quiver, tent, 50 feet of rope, and 3 water skins.
Looks fine to me. Rations? Food?
Right. Thank you.
Crossbow sounds too heavy. Better throw that away.
It's a light
We're allowed to
crossbow.
take the starting. We're expected to take the starting equipment from our class and background.
No,
No.
only your background.
Just background.
You have to roll for gold and then buy equipment. You don't get your class stuff.
Oh, I am fucked.
Oh yes, yeah.
You know, I think I'll add fishing tackle as well, because that just seems like something I would own. Perhaps an optimistic view of fishing.
Mm-hmm. But oh, yeah, 12. Well done.
Yep, I have 12 gold.
It's fine. As a monk, you don't actually need stuff, right?
I mean, I need some stuff. I need food and bags and shit.
Also, we're going to have to cover your share of the boats, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because he has 12 gold.
Alright, let's figure that out.
Well, I have 22 gold. Because
Could you spend
I got...
all of it on the boat?
Everyone's like, we all have
no.
21 and a half gold to chip in for this boat, right? And then they just took it all from him. Took everything.
Alright, guys. It's not so bad. We only have to part with about 3.5 more gold each.
Just take all of his gold. We're strong. We're stronger than him, probably, altogether.
Gonna have to go down on scroll cases.
Want to talk about the encumbrance stuff that you were doing to SV?
I'll try.
in
I'll
the,
try. I'll try and see what I can buy with the money I have, and just make it work.
Right.
Just spend your money on yourself. You're gonna need that money for basic equipment. The rest of us parting with an extra 3.5 gold isn't like a big deal. I don't think.
I haven't
Right.
looked at my equipment needs yet, but I mean, I should have enough.
Right. So just for encumbrance, I'm not entirely ignoring it, but I'm not interested in counting pounds, or anything like that. So I wrote up an alternate little subsystem for it. It's in the campaign rules. Most of you have probably read it already. I'll just go over it real quick. So you're expected to keep track of the equipment you have, and also where that equipment is stored. So the possible locations are obviously held in your hand, worn on your belt, worn if it's armor, and stored in a backpack, sack, or other container. We're not going to worry about the exact weight of things, and it's just going to be kind of fuzzy there. But so no encumbrance. In order to be at no encumbrance, your character can wear armor according to the strength requirement in the player's handbook. Hold something in each hand, and carry 2 items on their belt, and a quiver of arrows or bolts, and a backpack with a bedroll. And you can have all that at no encumbrance penalty. The backpack can contain an amount of items that I feel is reasonable. And yeah. If you have more than the above, basically, if I think that you're carrying a bit more in your backpack than is really reasonable, such as just having an overstuffed backpack, or if you're hauling around multiple sacks of things, or if you own a 10-foot pole, you are encumbered, which reduces your speed by 10 feet. And then extreme amounts of stuff that no normal human would carry with them on a journey results in the heavily encumbered condition, and that drops your speed by 20 and results in disadvantage and stuff. And yeah. That part is pretty straightforward. The stuff that is a little different is how you ready things. So if a weapon is on your belt, anything that's on your belt can be readied as a free action on your turn as normal. So that's how you you draw your sword as part of your attack. If it's on your belt, you can do that, no problem. But if your equipment is stored in a backpack, you can get it. You need a ready action to get it out. If you were encumbered, that is, you're carrying multiple packs, then it takes more time to fish out the specific item that you're looking for, and then will take 1d3 rounds. If for some reason you're wandering around heavily encumbered with stuff and decide that you need to pull out that potion of healing out of your backpack, it's going to take you 1d6 rounds. Yeah. So that's equipment. So you should mark down whether your carried equipment is worn on your belt or stored in a backpack. And
this shield is not ideal, or this sheet is not ideal for that.
You're right, it isn't. Yeah. But it should work simply because you can basically only have 2 items on your belt, so I would probably just suggest adding parentheses worn on belt to any item that applies to, or just assuming that it's your weapons and everything else is in the backpack.
We get the one carried item, right?
Right, yeah, you can carry something in your hand as well.
So I would be fair to say that one of my wands and my dagger is on the belt, my crossbow I've got.
Okay. That's fine. But that will just, of course, be...
Would fishing be under survival?
Yeah, it would be a survival check to fish.
Okay. Would eating the fish in this water kill us?
No. In fact, when I was when I wrote the I'm expecting you to be making foraging checks to gather food as you travel.
Right.
And
I'm taking some fishing tackle then.
Yeah.
Because I've got 18 GP left, so I know that doesn't quite cover my cut, but it's better than nothing.
I grabbed some too, just because it seemed like a thing that I would buy. I have a name as well. I am Lucas Dietrichstein. Proud Austrian name.
Mhm.
Yep, sounds good.
So, has anyone else given thought to names? We put some identities to these characters.
Not yet, I haven't. That usually comes last, honestly.
Oh yes, it's always the last thing I considered as well.
My arc has a simple name. Gump.
Gump. So Gump. So why don't you tell us about Gump? Who's Gump like as a person?
He's
he is
not.
a big, jolly guy. He is, and when I say big, he is big. He is 261 pounds.
All
He
right.
is a, he is pretty smart for an orc and pretty frail for an orc. He's he grew he grew up around the swamps a lot, and he got a lot of diseases because he didn't know. As smart as he is and as wise as he is, he was always a bit too curious for his own good. So his he didn't develop to be the healthiest orc.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a friendly guy. He is chaotic good. He likes to help people, and he has a thing for trying to make other people confident.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, when he was in the swamp, a bad dude rolled up, a disgraced prince from a not too far away kingdom, who decided that if his people didn't want him, he would find his own place among these people and force them to suffer his tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
So Gump was like, "Nah, you're not messing with my swamp folk. They're good folk." So he basically chased them off, and now they regard him very highly.
Cool.
Yeah, he has a familiarity with the swamps above everyone else. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to actually make maps, so that's a little bit useless, but he'll generally be able to guide everyone pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on that note, what exactly is insight supposed to be?
That's what
As
you
this
use to
skill.
tell when someone's lying to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you get for reading people.
Hmm. Might swap that out for history then. He
Okay.
knows the swamp.
Hmm.
This was performance. This was persuasion. Oops.
All right. Who wants to tell us about their character next?
I'm still working on stuff. If that's fine.
You've gone too far.
Is everyone just on buying of gear and stuff? Has everyone
That's-
chosen their bits?
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm still working
Yeah.
on it.
I'm deciphering spells.
I should probably get some water skins actually.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I'll
I'm currently deciding which of the massive list of weapons I can use I should take.
Alright.
They all do the same thing. It's fine.
Okay, so I've got 16 gold left, so at least I'm contributing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm a poor monk.
I put my 22 in. I subtracted it from my own, so my share is paid.
We're up to 25 per share now, actually,
Oh, okay, then I'll take
because
a
the
few
monk
more.
couldn't afford the full 22.
Oh,
and then-
fair.
We might get some money back from the monk. We might just let the monk hold on to money because, honestly, it's difficult to build a character on so little money.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm the party cook. I've got cook's utensils, an iron pot. I've got the fishing tackle too.
Mhm. Yeah. You'll Gump will probably be making the forage roll with their +5 to survival. I assume that the ranger will be making the navigation roll most of the time because they have class features that will give them advantage. And then Gump will be fishing. That'll work out pretty well for you.
Yep. Though it's hard in a party this size not to fill out all the roles you need.
Yeah. This many people. Yep.
So this might be a dumb question, but how wet is the swamp? You said that it's totally innavigable except by boat. Does that mean we shouldn't expect to have any encounters where we're not on a boat, or?
There are lots of basically it's going to be impossible to move from like one hex to the next without a boat. But there are bits of land throughout the swamp. So you can kind of think of it as like a very large. There's lots of like land masses and things scattered throughout, like just like raw places where the land comes up above the water level. Most of your random encounters, they're gonna be like things you encounter while you're traveling, so you'll be on your boat. Yes. When you find places of note, those will be places where you land, go onto land, and explore the islands.
Fair enough.
If that makes any sense at all to you.
Yep. Well, if all else fails, when I lose my spell book, at least I've got some decent spells prepared. But I guess I am leaving it behind.
Mm-hmm.
How much is the boat contribution?
25 gold.
Okay, I subtracted that from mine.
Anyway, like I was saying, shrimp is the fruit of the sea. You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it, bake it, saute it. There's shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole, shrimp gumbo, pan fried, deep fried, stir fried. There's pineapple shrimp, lemon shrimp, coconut shrimp, pepper shrimp, shrimp soup, shrimp stew, shrimp salad, shrimp potatoes, shrimp burger, shrimp sandwich. That's about it.
I just eat them raw.
There are no shrimp in this, rendering your entire character concept pointless.
The shrimp are all dead.
Yeah, there's zombie shrimp. Or they're not actually shrimp, they're all crayfish.
Well, it looks like this is
Crawdads.
a swamp, not a bayou, so it seems unlikely we'd have that anyway.
Kingsby?
Hmm?
I said, excuse me?
I said crawdads.
You mean this thing, this crayfish here?
Yes.
It's like this soda fanfic thing I sent you earlier.
Yeah. Except
It's all over again.
except I actually do call them crayfish.
Oh,
But my
okay.
father's family calls them crawdads. They're from they're from down here. But
Crawfish.
most of my experience is with them is at the cottage in Michigan with my mom's family, and they call them crayfish.
Mhm.
I am used to calling them crawdads. After all, they're not a fish, you morons.
Nope, they're crawfish.
They're a goddamn crustacean.
Crayfish.
Crawfish.
Yeah, but jellyfish aren't fish either, are they? Sala?
That's why I don't call them jellyfish. I call them medusae. We're different down here. We call things what they ams.
Except we call soda Coke, so regardless of
I've never heard anyone do that. They always tell me that happens, but I've never heard anybody do that.
well, that's just because you live in Morristown, which is some sort of weird extra-dimensional pocket dimension.
I think maybe people calling it Coke is just a thing that people used to do before we had media and stuff, and all the people that called it Coke are dead now. But the people who are really into like how people say things funny still talk about how people do it, even though, as I said, all the people that did do it are dead.
You should just call them mud bugs and be done with it.
I think the reason people don't call it Coke anymore is because there's so many different kinds of soda now that you have to be specific.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of confused by it. For the area, we actually live closer to where Pepsi Cola was created.
It's all just a grand conspiracy by the Coke industry, or Coke company.
The Coke industry. You just proved the point.
Yeah. So there you go, Sala. There's an example of someone referring to it generally as Coke, as opposed to.
No, he
Alright.
wasn't referring to soda. He was referring to the cocaine industry.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. We don't put that in the soda anymore,
That you know of.
I suppose.
Okay, so I was reading through it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just glancing over it. How much water and food do we use?
The DMG says that the minimum requirements are 1 pound food, 1 gallon water a day.
Okay. I
think
mean, I
each
know we
skin
can
is-
scavenge some of it.
Yes,
Each skin is a gallon of water, if I recall correctly.
that is probably true.
How many pounds in a kilogram again?
I was gonna say, someone get conversions ready.
Why
And I
would you
think
need
it's 2.5
kilograms?
pounds.
Because-
2.2 pounds per kilogram.
Because
Yeah.
a kilogram of water is a liter of water. It is the best thing about metric.
Oh yeah, why'd you use dumb units here, Matt?
Because the book uses
The water
pounds.
skins are measured in pounds, unfortunately. They have
We
5
don't
pounds,
know
so
how
they
many
have,
feet of water are in a gallon.
they're a
We can't
half
figure
gallon
this out.
each, I guess. A water skin seems to be a half gallon.
Oh, that's inconvenient.
Yeah, that
Wow.
is inconvenient.
Well, I mean, the real answer is if none of us have create water, one of us is going to have to race change to human and take a feat to get create water.
Now, see, I don't know about the rest of you, but I can probably survive drinking the swamp water, so I got that +5 Constitution save specifically for this scenario.
I'm a goblin. I'm already green.
I've got 18 Constitution. I'm sure I can deal it a couple times.
I mean, I'm sure we could boil the hell out of it.
Yeah,
Make
and then
holy
only have
water.
half chance. How do I add my spell slot to myself? I'm confused.
Oh,
Help me,
Class
I need
do
it.
that automatically.
It didn't. How do I actually do it?
I don't know. The only way to do it is automatically take a class on the sheet.
I hate this.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that for.
Well, it doesn't actually track them anyway, so just write in your spell without a slot.
Yeah.
I should have one first level slot.
Looks like that's what you have. It says 1 slot remaining 1.
I know, I put that there myself. It says 1 slot remaining and 0 slots total.
Oh.
I'm running on bonus spells.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I guess it's just because this is for the wizard, so like you don't have, you don't gain spell slots the way a wizard does. So.
Yeah, I think you've only got like 1 or 2.
Yes, but they come back at a short rest. But what I was meaning is that they warlocks don't gain like a big triangle of spell slots. They just have a number of spell slots, and all their spells are cast at a certain spell level, based on their character level.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So what I'm discovering is I'm going to need to carry like at least 12 water skins in the boat. They're not expensive. That's not actually a difficult purchase, but
That's 12. That's it's only 12 gallons of water. That's all. Well, I guess that is a lot. Yeah, I'm thinking about bringing in my
12 would be 6 gallons of water. But yeah.
Oh, 6 gallons, right? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's
And the
nothing.
funny
then.
thing
That's
is-
that's like 1.5 milk crates.
The container capacity, the table for it, where it actually tells you where it is. He's right, it is half a gallon, but it doesn't say half a gallon. It says the
4
water skin is
pints?
4 pints. Yes.
Good Lord.
In the survival rules, it tells you a person needs a gallon of water per day, and the only thing people intuitively measure in pints is milk or blood. So the water skin is, I don't know, that's concerning.
You use it to make cheese.
Let's just chip in and get a barrel of water and just
That's what I was
strap
thinking,
it to a
Creator.
canoe.
Yeah, that's probably easier.
Yeah, like I'll chip in extra since I didn't chip in any for the
Okay, so are we hoping to like crack this barrel and then reseal it every day, or what is the plan with this barrel of water? I'm skeptical of it.
we
Who said there was a
have
plan?
we have a barrel with a fucking faucet on it. Like damn, those exist. There are barrels
No,
with
we-
plugs and faucets.
Now we're gonna buy a 4th canoe to put the barrel on.
We actually have room on our 3rd canoe because our 3 canoes would carry 9 of us, and there's only 7. So
All right,
someone
now,
So you can overload the
we
last.
could actually get 2 barrels onto this thing. Onto
yeah,
these
now
things.
what?
And it's not a
was
lot of
my-
money. All right, I will help. I will find some money to chip into the barrels. We're gonna need 4 gold pieces between the 6 of us who are capable of spending. Actually, why don't we make that the monk's contribution? Since he had a bit of money left over, do you have 4 gold for barrels?
Yes, I have a lot more than 4 gold. I have like a ton of gold, so I can buy lots of barrels.
I mean, like that just
I mean,
that
I-
greatly reduces the water skin needs. So
Yeah,
Yeah, then
Okay,
I'm carrying
so now
a
we
day's
have-
worth of water on me instead of like a month's
A
worth of
week.
water on me, and that seems a lot more sensible to me.
Yeah. It makes sense to me that you would have like a barrel that contains like most of the water, and then you each carry like a couple of water skins. You know.
We are going with
for when you
2
go-
barrels though, which apparently hold 40 gallons each.
Jesus.
so that's 80 gallons of water.
we're just
That
gonna
will cover us
retrofit.
for like 10 days. That's not actually a lot.
Yeah, we're just gonna retrofit one of the last canoe into a tanker.
Well, we don't want to do that because we probably need 2 people to row it. It's just
Yeah.
2 of the canoes have a barrel in their middle seat. and then
Mhm.
one of the canoes has a goblin in the middle of the sea. And you decide which one of these you hate more.
This sounds good.
So
to me.
I haven't recorded this information yet. So how much is my contribution for the rafts and anything else that we're
25 gold.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we now have 2 barrels.
Excellent.
What's up?
But yeah, I'm disappointed with this that we don't have a cleric, because that would have been really handy right now.
Well, create food and water will like take a spell slot, so they can only do that so many times before they have to return to before they have to take a long rest. And I know the food spoils after a day, so it's not very efficient use of their spells for like long-term survival.
But purify food and drink. Cantrip.
Oh, okay.
Whoever's our cartographer has some map cases, right?
Yeah, I have a bunch.
Just
5
fill
scroll
those with
cases,
water.
but as far as I'm understanding, they're the same thing.
Yeah, they are.
God, you can even cast it as a ritual. It's weird, actually. Why would you cast a cantrip as a ritual? Oh no, wait, because it isn't a ritual. I was a cantrip. I was wrong. But it is a ritual, so you can still cast it every day.
Oh, nice.
Or you could cast create or destroy water, but that wouldn't be a ritual.
Okay, I have 10 gold left if you guys think we need anything that it hasn't been covered already.
An unskilled hireling for a bunch of days.
I mean, we could maybe make
Probably not.
Oh wait, we can't feed an army.
Yeah, we don't have anywhere to put our hireling. We'd have to like tow him in the water behind the boat.
you would demand like extreme hazard pay.
Ireland gets.
He has no power in this
designated
situation. We're the job providers. We tell him either he works for what we're given or he doesn't work at all, and then he like starts crying and thinks of his children, and then he has to do what we say.
Okay, so I feel like I've got to be forgetting stuff. I mean,
Does everyone have tents?
I do not have a tent.
Well, that seems like a thing you may have forgotten.
It does.
Well, I mean, tents are like 2-person tents, so.
Yeah.
So, person who had money left over. Could you pick up a crow? Could you pick up a crowbar?
A crowbar?
Alright,
I got one.
Alright.
Okay.
Basically, I've got 40 gold left.
Alright, how many tents do we have so far?
I'm not sharing, but I have a 10.
I'll get a tent. And I'll share.
I got a better roll, but then said it should be a hammock instead and assumed it would be the same price generally.
Well, I assume I like to sit down with my
Sure.
notes and all of that and do some cartography in the camp, and that takes up space. But I'm assuming it's me and my desk instead of me and another person. My mini desk or whatever.
I mean, I've got more gold, so I can buy like tents for anyone who wants a tent.
I think I'm all
Do you
done
have
with
a
my
box of
equipment.
torches?
We don't need a box of torches. We have a wizard.
Oh, that's
Again, I
right.
might die, so it might be worth grabbing one actually.
Yeah, I got a lantern and oil just in case that happens.
What? Wait, a box of torches?
I mean, like
A bundle.
a bundle,
Or
Just
something.
some. Okay.
a
just some.
multiple, like because one torch, one torch just
Yeah, it's an hour.
yeah.
The
I have dark
manufacturer
vision,
puts
so
it
I
down
don't
at the
need it.
torch factory.
And I mean, I'm assuming that some of this can just like live in the boats.
Just since you're all thinking about things to spend money on, as a GM, I guess I probably shouldn't be helping, but people buy ropes, people buy sacks to put treasure in.
Some
Not
sacks
us.
might be good, but I'm figuring that the canoes double as sacks, right? The sacks are really just covering things.
Sure. But someday there may be something gross that you want to take somewhere, but you want to put it in a thing.
I guess get a chest.
This
Sounds
feels very
unlikely.
pointed. I'm getting a sack.
I'm actually not
really
thinking about anything in particular, but I don't know. Maybe you need to like carry a sack of goblin heads somewhere. I don't know. I mean,
I've been on
not
that WoW
goblins,
quest so
but
many times.
What?
gnomes. Yeah, you might have a sack of gnome heads.
When I could have been a gnome.
No,
No, they're
'cause they-
extinct. We hunted them out.
Yeah.
See, a tinderbox sounds good.
I mean, it should come as a surprise to none of you, but if you're looking for extra things to carry, like a blanket can be stunningly useful.
I already have that.
Do you
But
know
should
where your
record it
towel
as a
is?
towel.
Nice.
But you don't really need a blanket to sleep. The bedroll includes all that. The blanket is an additional cold weather item, but I don't think we're going to face that here.
No.
The blanket you can keep over your face to keep the mosquitoes off.
I don't think those exist yet.
What
Really
blankets
just
for
any
mosquitoes?
blanket.
Mosquito netting.
Yeah, we
Oh,
haven't
okay,
invented
netting,
like
not
narrow
mosquito.
weaves yet, so all of our blankets have these huge fucking holes in them, and they're completely useless for pretty much anything.
They're really just nets.
They're stylish, at least.
Is anyone capable of using a healer's kit without killing people?
I have a medicine of +4.
That's pretty good.
Do you want a healer's kit? Can you afford one?
Probably not. I'll just take yours.
Yeah, I'll throw you a healer's kit. So I'll just take 5 gold and you add a healer's kit. If
Oh,
that's
5 gold
allowed.
I can totally afford.
I mean, a
Okay.
healer's kit, all it does is let you not have to take a medicine check to heal someone, basically.
Okay.
That's lame.
It's basically, someone's dying and none of you are good at medicine.
All right, then I'll
Well,
just hold on to that.
that's-
Screw it.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
weird. So the
Yeah,
point of the
no,
healer's
you need
kit,
the healer's toolkit in order to make the heal check to stabilize someone.
Huh.
Wait, like
Yeah.
at all or?
Yeah, like it all.
Do you have to be proficient with it?
No, you don't need to be.
The medicine skill is efficiency with it, though.
Okay, so
These rules
okay,
are weird.
so he should have it if he's got medicine.
Yes.
One of us should have it.
Now,
Well,
I may have missed it, but did we say something about like not purchasing like the packs, like the Explorer pack or anything like that?
I don't recommend it. They're a time saver, but they're bad.
But
But I
there's.
think you're allowed to if
You're
you
allowed
want
to.
to. But yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually going to contain a bunch of things you don't really need, but take them if you like them.
Oof, antitoxin is expensive.
Hmm.
Anything particularly useful is expensive, yes.
Acid, alchemist fire, holy water, potions of healing. Yeah, those are all expensive.
Poison.
Poison.
because, You know,
Yes.
fuck you.
100 gold pieces. That seems excessive.
I hope you know how to make it yourself, because
Considering it's not even that good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do we have a different poison than the basic poison that's hyper expensive and nearly useless yet?
Not to my knowledge.
I haven't looked, but is it the same thing as? Is it the same situation as GURPS for the alchemy elixir of death? It's like an elixir of maybe making someone pretty sick.
Well,
No.
except this is D&D. The numbers are totally different. In D&D, basic poison is like, I ate basic poison and I didn't notice.
Well, it's halfway between in D&D 5. It is still prohibitively expensive for normal characters to use, but you always notice it. Poison adds damage for the save for half, usually, and often adds status effects as well.
Yeah, but if I remember somewhere, like in the main book here, there was a basic poison, and it was the only poison available, and it was something like 1d4, and it didn't say anything else about what it did.
No, there's an array of poisons. If you want to spend 2,000 gold pieces on purple worm poison, for example, any target you strike with it has to take 12d6 poison damage, con 19 half.
Is that in another book?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's in the SRD.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some additional poisons in the DMG that I'm looking at. Yeah. None of them are like affordable for your starting characters.
No. The cheapest poison is 150 gold pieces a dose. They're not.
Yeah.
That remains an issue. They're not really an item that players should use.
This was it. Basic poison. Takes an action to apply. A creature hit by the poisoned weapon or ammunition must make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, or take 1d4 poison damage. The poison remains potency for 1 minute.
Yeah, that's a great use of 100 gold.
So it isn't even like save for half. It's a very easy save and a minuscule amount of damage.
But again,
takes
when
an
you're getting
action.
into levels 15 to 20, and you're willing to throw down 1,500 gold pieces every time you attack to do cool things, you could do cool things with poison. But it's not
Well,
for low
yeah,
level
just-
characters in this edition.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with other poisons. I'm arguing with the one poison that they list in
Fair
the
enough.
player's handbook.
That does sound bad.
Yeah, it's humorously bad.
Does anyone have a shovel?
I did.
Okay. What about a pot?
No. I think that's. Who said they were cooking slag?
Yes, like
I'd expect you to.
Gump can cook and also keep the boats running. So he's basically utility guy when we're not beating the crap out of things.
Do you have a pot then
Yes, he has an iron pot and
Figure. for boiling water?
and cooking utensils. So,
Okay. Cool.
and fishing tackle, so we can. Hope you guys like seafood. 'Cause that's all we're gonna friggin' eat.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure we'll have to dip into the rations plenty.
The cheap poison in the DMG, the 150, the Assassin's Blood. I feel that this should be what the basic poison in the player's handbook is, because it's almost actually useful.
I mean, use is relative. When you're talking about an upgrade to your items costing 20,000 gold pieces, then some of these poisons that add a bit of damage, save half, are pretty good. When you're talking about an upgrade to your magic items being 2,000, there's no excuse to buy potions or anything like that. It's a problem in general that D&D has always had, in my opinion. Consumables are only good from level like 15 to 20.
Well, it's less of a problem in 5th edition if you just don't have the magic item marketplace, but they assume that you won't. So.
That's true, actually. If you have a ton of gold sitting around and you can't just buy magic items, then poisons suddenly become a really smart way to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for much the same reason. If you can't go out and buy a +3, sword, but you can buy some midnight tiers or whatever it was that was 1,500 per dose, then there you go. Some guaranteed extra damage. Okay, so we are in like the last 50 minutes of our scheduled time, so I would like to start moving towards wrap. I think we're pretty well along. I think everyone's just like doing gear and stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
So looks like Sala, looks like you gave yourself a name. Do you care to tell me how the hell I'm supposed to pronounce that?
No.
Then you're going
probably
to have to
change it
choose a different
anyway.
one.
Don't worry, I'll probably change it.
Okay.
So the rest of us can't see that. How's it spelled? Ah, down there?
Yeah, that's it.
Gritinkle?
Exactly, I don't like it, I'm gonna change it. Here's only a blanket out so I don't have a name.
Okay.
There you go.
All
The
right.
funniest one that you ever came up with that I remember was the original one for your Apillion Dragon when we played that. Not Sigzler, not the one you had eventually, but when KSB first asked what your dragon's name was, if I recall correctly, you said it was the sound of a feather sweeping across a copper bell.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Unfortunately, I can't pronounce that.
I'm trying to get the personality ideals bonds flaws thing to make sense. I unfortunately have no concept of who or what this person is, you see, so
Well, just ask them. They'll tell you.
I can't ask them. He's a fictional creature.
I know, but I mean, is that not how you learn about your characters?
No,
No.
because when I ask them, I just hear the question reverberate into my own head and I panic.
Yeah.
Someone's talking to me, oh my god.
Oh, well, alright then. But Creator, it looks like you named your character. You want to tell us
Yeah.
about him?
I guess if I have to.
Yeah, you kind of got to.
Okay, let's make some stuff up, I guess. His name is Kildrak Lutger. He is a he's a gladiator, or was a gladiator, focused mostly on entertaining. Yeah, he fought, but he mostly fought for the flourish and the show,
Mm-hmm.
not so much for actually like ending people.
Right.
It
Bad
just
for
seemed like
business if your gladiators die every time. So.
right, exactly. He doesn't want to die. But he because he grew up very hardy and strong as well as charismatic, he developed an interest in that showmanship that combined with the fighting prowess of his people. And he developed a very strong interest in the ways of his people and the past and history and combat of his people. In fact, that's part of his ideal is the ways, songs, combat methods of the past must not be forgotten. They teach us who we are. And he's very not forward, very. Well, I can't think of the word, but he's very open to sort of banter and good-humored insults, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
he idolizes the heroes of the old tales, and he measures himself against them. So he's constantly trying to seek out ways to improve himself in that regard, and that sort of shows in his showmanship. He's constantly trying to emulate them and emulate who they are in the stories. Which is of course different from who they were.
Right.
And that is actually, that's part of why he is seeking what fame might be found in this horrible place, and made this likely terrible decision to come here, because he wants to emulate them, and in conjunction with that, he also satirized the wrong noble while putting on one of his shows.
So that's
And,
why he had to leave his home because of the satirizing the noble, and here he thinks maybe he can find some make a name
Some
for
fame.
himself.
Yeah, a bit of fame.
Also, roll me a d4.
A D4? Okay.
Yes. And give you a rumor about the swamp that you've heard. All right. So you have heard, on your way here, you heard a tale that all the settlers, that is the people of Clink, are all thieves and killers. So you've heard
That's probably true.
you've heard a lot of bad things about the people here.
All right. That's not going to sit well. Because he is lawful good, and he
Yes.
does abide by the traditional ways.
So that is a rumor that he has heard.
All right, got it noted. And since it might be of some relevance, the interest in history carries over into a proficiency with the actual history trait.
Yes, I see that. That's an interesting choice.
I don't know if it'll be useful or not, but
It might be. It might be.
I mean, from a more mechanical standpoint, he's bard. I've got
Right.
all the bardy things. Hopefully, I've got everything right on the sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it looks fine. Let's see. Because you're a dwarf, you do have proficiency with both the light and the medium armor. Did you end up buying any armor?
I went with leather armor, I think, but I forgot that I was proficient with medium armor, and that might make more sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just like some hide or something. Because I've already got a terrible dexterity score anyways.
Well, it's a +1.
Well, not terrible, but not enough to warrant.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
needing
It's low enough that you can still get the full benefit of it with medium armor.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah.
So yeah, I might go with that. I'll have to take a quick look.
Mhm.
I feel like chain armor might be a bad idea in a swamp.
I mean, you are a dwarf, though. Sometimes
probably
doing things that are a bad idea makes sense. I should probably keep my spellbook on me. It'll be a thing. I don't imagine any one who's ever going to view this, even if it really explodes in popularity in a way that none of us could predict or even want, will have seen a wizard lose their spellbook. It's a thing that doesn't happen. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait,
We'll
nope,
see
I
if it
can't
does.
afford a chain shirt, so it doesn't matter.
Yep. But you could if you bought leather before, you could easily trade in that leather for hide to the same price,
Yeah.
and it's going to give you a total AC of 13.
It's better.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna trade in for the hide.
So go ahead and do that, and then update your AC. Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Cool. So that is Kildrak Lutger?
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's see. Lucas, we talked about you before. Also, give me a roll of the d4. Lucas? That is Retromach.
Oh, sorry. I will roll
Good, I
that
kept
d4
thinking,
now.
oh god, did he say my name? Did he say my name?
Sorry, I was looking at swamp birds in case I want to replace my raven with something more appropriate. I have a 1.
1. Oh, this seems oddly appropriate. Lucas, you have heard that the swamp is full of great big green dragons. They're
Well, that does seem
full
likely.
of it. All right.
Is anyone going to object if I have a crane instead of a raven?
I will not object.
No.
No.
All right.
That sounds interesting.
Wait, but it could be a flamingo. I'm just saying that's an option.
Well, I mean, I thought about that. I also thought about going with the heron, because herons are pretty cool.
Mhm.
And I mean, an ibis just looks awesome. But I'm thinking to myself, the theme of this is sort of not that.
So, Khan, would you I've lost. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong character sheet. So, Khan, it appears you have given your character a name at last. So, are you ready to introduce us to them fully?
Not really, but I won't be for a while, so I'm gonna have to anyway.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right. Well, tell us where you're at right now, then, at least.
Yeah, where I'm at so far. I had my character named Silas, a single name because, people outside civilization don't need last names.
Just ask Gump.
Yeah, right. See, they have something in common there. But he is, a person who's like completely serene, nonplussed, like sanguine, no matter what the rest of the party so far has seen him come up against. I want to talk to KSV more, at least, like about what the discovery was. But my idea so far is that the reason for his hermitage was to wander in search of a specific location, which he ended up finding, and it's like a place that no one else knows about, like an ancient temple or something, with like some sort of forbidden, completely horrible knowledge that he can't let get out at any cost, basically. And the flaw I wrote down was I'd destroy dangerous knowledge before letting it fall into the wrong hands.
Well, Sala will not like you.
Yeah, no. If we find any books of spells, it's
Yes.
going straight into the swamp.
All right.
I have to kill you with my deadly lasers.
So your so this place is this place you discovered. It is away from the swamp.
Yep. I'm thinking, yeah, some distance away from it. Definitely not here, though.
But like off in the woods over here.
Right, in that direction, yeah, but not so far that it's like completely, that he's completely foreign to this place. So, to make your job easier, I was thinking the middle range band in terms of rumors.
Yeah, so let's roll a d6.
All right. Let's see.
big green dragons.
Oh no. I love the bird picture, but yeah. I guess more than one of us have heard about these dragons.
Big green dragons sitting on ruins of ancient treasure, probably. Forbidden knowledge.
We'll be sure to catalog where those ruins are so that future adventurers who are better can go deal with that.
All right. So our Dwarven Ranger. Calvin, are you ready to introduce us to them?
Mostly, I guess. Yeah,
Sure.
let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, Corander Shellbreaker.
All right, Corander.
Let's see here. Would be a good period of time of leaving the homelands, as the homelands have been scorched and burned by various tribes, and other wars have broke out, and I am the remaining last one of my tribe.
Tribe? So are you a hill dwarf?
Yep. Well, no, just a dwarf, just a standard mountain dwarf. Yeah.
Oh, you're a mountain dwarf.
But, yeah. Let's say I'm the last of my grouping, and
So your mountain home is destroyed.
yep. And I've been wandering in the vast lands trying to find a way to make a name for myself, to go down to the books of history.
Mm-hmm.
Books, what are these books? Or wait, were you not a barbarian? I don't remember.
I'm
He's a
not a
ranger.
barbarian. Yep.
He's a
Okay,
ranger.
you like books then?
Yeah, books are okay, you know. They could start a fire.
You don't find a lot of books in the woods.
Yeah,
But
'cause everybody
sometimes
started
you
using
do.
kindling.
So
I was kind of just imagining that sometimes he finds like a bookshelf in a tree.
So as a ranger, what did you take as your favorite enemy?
Beast.
Incredibly sensible decision.
As my computer crashes.
I forget, was undead an option? Because that would also be a very good a choice here.
I think it was.
It is actually an option, yes.
Yeah, but beast is likewise going to be helpful, so it's not a bad choice.
Plus, it's a really sensible entry-level one for a ranger. If you're not a ranger who served in some army or force out fighting a supernatural foe, it makes sense that animals might be what you're good at.
Right, yeah.
That was one of the things that in 3rd edition, where like the benefit for your ranger class ability got higher. So like the one you picked at level 1 was like better than the additional favorite enemies you picked up along the way. I always thought that was kind of it seemed like that would be kind of frustrating, because like if you did manage to play a campaign to like high levels, which no one ever did, but like when you're at high levels, you would really have wanted to have been like, damn, I wish that I had made my favorite enemy, I don't know, dragons or abominations or whatever it is that your high level campaign is about, but it's beasts, and I haven't fought or it's beasts, or it's goblinoids or something, and I haven't fought one of those in 10 levels.
I got a magic item that just kills all goblins when I think about them. I don't worry about them anymore.
I actually put one of those in my campaign.
And that's where the World of Warcraft approach would be nice, Caspi, where you always fight boars, but they're just increasingly large and spiky, strange colored boars as you go on.
You travel to the foreign land where no one can eat anything because all the animals are so fucking dangerous.
They're all vegetarians,
Alternatively, the people in this land just aren't allowed to migrate backwards to the low-level lands because the people in the low-level lands are too terrified of them.
Anyway, Calvin, go ahead and roll me a d6, please.
Please don't get a 1. Because I want to hear a different rumor.
Or 3.
I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of corroborating evidence on these dragons. This is sounding very scientific at this point.
You're gonna have to write on all of your maps. Here there be dragons. 2 different people.
I actually
told
have
me.
to write, here there be no dragons, because I'm expecting dragons everywhere. So everywhere I don't find them, that's notable.
Oh, 5.
5. Yes, you have heard that there are untouched ruins in the swamp that have not yet been plundered by any adventurers.
No.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Who would
Otherwise, there's
plunder
really
such
nothing for us
ancient
here.
things?
All right. So, heard that. All right. Sala, you're
Man,
the
note
last
to
one.
self. Dire hornbills.
Did Slag do a rumor?
No, I guess Slag didn't. But I
first.
I was more concerned about the character descriptions, getting them out. But yeah. Actually, yes, Slag, you've spent a lot of time here. Roll a d8.
And try and get higher. It's better.
Nope.
It's new at least.
You have heard, or since you are been around here, you know for a fact that there is a boat that belonged to the Nilfenbergian Empire. It was carrying weapons, and it used to sail between Clink and a different village that has long since disappeared. But about the same time that village disappeared, that boat sank with all of its valuables, and it's somewhere out in the or it is assumed to have sunk. It never made port again. It's lost somewhere out in the swamp. So Gump
Cool.
knows
That's
that.
another thing to go plunder.
Yeah, seems like a good thing to keep our eye out for. Though, I mean, if we saw it, we
the
were
what
probably
empire? What empire?
Niflberg.
Mapleburg.
Let me write it down
Yes.
for you. Nilfenberg.
Nilfenberg.
Should write that down too.
Okay, so it's an armed trading ship.
Military ship. Yeah. And it is said to be sunk somewhere in the swamp.
It traded between Clink and some other.
Clink and a different village, which is a different settlement that has since lost.
Cool. And I think Sala was next for the rumor, and last.
Yes. Yes. So Sala, please introduce us to your character.
All right. So Filsticker, Goblin.
Filsticker. Okay.
Let's see. I'd say he was born in a goblin nest east of here. Over time, observed that he was falling behind his peers in their great goblin education. When the time of adulthood came, and he was not selected for one of the sealed engineering pits that all the goblins fantasize about joining. Nobody knows what goes on inside. But they'll all be opened in 1,000 years' time, and then we don't know what will happen. He was not chosen, and in his great sadness he abandoned his job at the brewery, all the wort probably spoiled, and ran away, weeping. He had heard that there was much treasure hidden in these swamps. So he came here, because he's sure that if he had enough money to just sit around and not do anything, he would definitely think of that special thing he'd have to do, that he would go back and show the other goblins. But he doesn't know what it would be. But he's sure that he would, if he could. And I don't know how he has formed a pact with this swamp spirit. What does Grandfather Rot want?
Grandfather Rot wants. Grandfather Rot created the swamp. He birthed it. As he is a godling, he can do that. In terms of what he wants long term, Filchester would not know. But what Filchster might know is that Rot wants to protect the swamp, and he definitely cares about anything that will threaten the swamp's continued existence. He does not care about the individual people in the swamp, or pretty much any individual living things. You would have never have seen him awaken, but I think he tells you to do you have probably formed your pact with him.
I assumed he sent dreams or
through
something.
dreams, yes.
That's what I wrote. That's what I wrote here.
Yeah.
One of the noses spoke to his dreams as he slept in a tree, bathed by its exhalations.
Maybe Filchster was lost in the swamp and encountered some scumboggles and offered them his supplies in exchange for not killing him. Don't stab me. Here, take my stuff. And he threw out some
Please,
cheese.
I have nothing but cheese. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And they took the cheese and then became friendly with him. Did not eat him. And then that night he started getting strange dreams, which called him farther into the swamp until he came to the sleeping form of Grandfather Rot. And he saw him, and he had visions, and now he is a warlock.
That's just how it happens, right?
Well,
I do like
technically,
that.
yeah, he had to agree. He was offered power, in exchange for, protecting the swamp.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's similar to one of the things I was thinking about, where he was cornered by the scumbuggles. I originally decided against it because I felt like the scumbuggles would just eat him, but that was because I forgot that they like cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would eat him, but they can be placated with cheese, which he knows because
because circumstances happen to turn out that way.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, I think that's what happened. After that point, he has been avoiding the scumbuggles because he doesn't actually have a lot of money for cheese.
Right.
Because he doesn't have a job because he lives in the swamp.
Right.
Where he sort of has been sort of timidly trying to wander from place to place and continuously discovering that everything is too terrifying and dangerous for him to actually try to interact with on his own.
Right.
As he gets close to something and oh my god, it's completely covered in crocodiles.
Right.
Oh my god, those are the undead crocodiles that are exactly the same as the normal crocodiles.
Right. Except they have more hit points.
They just
Yeah.
smell a little worse.
You wouldn't be able to tell. There's just sort of this omni smell all the time when you're in the swamp.
Yes.
And,
Yes. So,
yeah.
and somehow miraculously managed to make his way to Clink.
Yeah. Well, he stayed in the tops of trees, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume he had a raft. And, his raft is probably sunk now, because they just do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So give me a,
Sure.
give me a D8 roll. Nate. Okay.
Oh man, I get the best rumor.
Okay. This rumor doesn't make sense for your character to know. So I'm going to say that it must be this must be divinely inspired dream.
I found it in a skeleton's head.
Maybe. Gert von Hemmer, a major scholar, was last seen in a tower somewhere to the south in the swamp. Why Filsticker would care about that information? I don't know. Well, he's a major scholar. Maybe he can help you think of that thing that you need to think of. If indeed Filsticker still cares about that.
hmm Wait, where did you say again? Like in a tower to the south?
Mm-hmm. In the southern part of the swamp.
Alright.
Or that's where he was going, at least.
I want to look at the giant mushroom. I think we should go there first. Because reasons.
How fast do we travel and map? Is it 1 hex a day or?
1 hex a day. Yep.
Yeah, normally
Well,
we
I mean-
can move slowly or quickly to do like what's it, half hex a day or 2 per day, but there's like penalties or bonuses.
As much as the mushroom makes sense, probably at least what Lucas will want to do is to get these 4 hexes mapped around Crick, because that will have value to the people of Crick. And then afterwards, he'd be happy to push out in this direction and do the stuff towards and around the mushroom.
That makes sense. Yeah, just a map of the space around the town would be useful.
Plus, we're going to be going back to that town a lot, and it saves us travel time every time we go through and do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if we mess up in some terrible way, it's not hard to get back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense. It's not a bad plan. I was actually expecting that the first session would probably just be mapping some areas immediately around Clink and just exploring the area, and having some random encounters, and that would let me set up some of the stuff maybe depending on what encounters are rolled. That would be good. Yeah, so normal pace is 1 hex per day of travel. You can choose to go at a fast pace, which allows 2 hexes of movement per day. but you'll have disadvantage on any perception checks that may come up while you travel at the beginning of an encounter. You thus risk being ambushed. You probably don't want to. If a dangerous encounter is rolled, going at a fast pace would be dangerous. You can also choose to go to slow pace, which means that you can travel 1 hex over 2 days, but you may attempt to use stealth in order to be permitted a stealth roll against the passive perception of whatever encounter is rolled on each day. So,
would one of us make the roll, or would we all have to succeed?
I would probably say like one person from each boat.
Gonna make boat management complicated. We'll figure that out later.
Yes.
Oh, I expect boat management, like on the boats and what is on which boat is going.
You kind of dropped out there a bit, but I think we got the idea.
Yeah.
All right. So, our characters: Filsticker, Gump, Kildrak Lutger, Lucas Dietrichstein.
Close enough. Ch is K in the Austrian dialect, so Dietrichstein.
Dietrichstein.
No, K. Not Ch.
Okay. Voron der Shellbreaker, Silas, and Telgen. These are our characters. Maybe, assuming Telgen makes one. So great! It took a little longer than I expected to get through character creation, but we did make it in the one in the session time, so that is good. I may ask some additional questions of you guys about characters for next session, but basically I think we're done. We're good. I'm very much looking forward to continuing this next week. I hope everyone else is as well. And thank you, weird people on the internet who have actually stuck around this entire time. If you like this, you're gonna love whatever we do next week, where we actually
we'll
play.
actually be doing things.
Right.
Oh
So
God,
you know.
could you imagine?
Yes.
Unless you're such a weird person that you actually enjoyed this, in which case this is probably what you're into.
Please tell us if you reached this far. Write in rainbow trout in the comments, and we will flip our shit. I promise.
Yes.
Unless we already know you.
Regardless, next week, in the same time, we will be playing our first session, and we will, and that'll go up the same channel. So subscribe and come back next time. Does anyone here have anything that they would like to plug? If Kennel were here, I know he would plug his channel, but I don't think any of you guys have anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, I don't have any
Watch
like.
my shitty From the Depths Let's Plays.
Oh yes, Sala Basama has
stopped
like
doing that stuff a
2
while ago.
different shitty Let's Plays on his channel.
I did
haven't
a
watched
Let's Play
them.
of
I'm sure
Earthbound a while ago.
Oh, so someone
that's
bought my
neat.
copy of Earthbound. All right, good.
Oh no, I've had this thing since I was a kid.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's the end of session 0, and yeah, we're good.